subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
He probably just wants to cut Nobita's rope and let him out. Stop it now, Bull Demon King. Suddenly, a voice came from above. Everyone looked up and saw Doraemon sitting on an airship. And he pulled Doraemon up in time. I'm here to save you, brother. Doraemon. Doraemon was very surprised. He didn't expect Doraemon to appear here. Seeing someone dare to disrupt his mealtime and snatch his food in front of him, the Bull Demon King was furious and took out his big knife. Wait, let me be your opponent. At this time, Nobita suddenly rushed out and came in front of the Bull Demon King. But compared with the Bull Demon King, Nobita's body was not even as big as one of his eyes. Lin Lei released Fat Tiger, Sunio, and the others at this time. And Nobita also fought with the Bull Demon King. Although it was called a battle, it was basically Nobita who was dodging the Bull Demon King's attacks. Because his own attacks did not cause any harm to the Bull Demon King at all, and he could not even break his skin. On the other side, Lin Lei and a few others wanted to escape from the monster tower, but they were blocked by Princess Iron Fan and the little monster she led. Giant World, Alan shouted. Nobita, cut the back of the Bull Demon King's neck. After all, the giants in their world would die if their necks were cut, and this Bull Demon King should not be much different. Resident Evil World. Leon watched this scene, and regardless of whether Nobita could hear or not, he shouted at the light curtain, "Go ahead, hit the Bull Demon King in the eyes." After all, the eyes are one of the most vulnerable parts of all living things. There is no strong muscle or skin protection. Basically, attacking the eyes can seriously injure them. And the Bull Demon King's eyes are also not protected, and they are so big, which is an obvious flaw. Just hit his eyes with 2 sticks. He doesn't believe that the Bull Demon King can bear it. I won't let you escape, you traitor. Princess Iron Fan said to Lin Lei viciously. Mom! Lin Lei couldn't hold back his tears. Please let them go. He neither wanted to go against his mother nor wanted to harm Master Tripitaka and the others. So he was tormented in his heart. Why couldn't everyone just get along with each other? What? When everyone heard Lin Lei calling Princess Iron Fan Mom, they all looked at him in disbelief. They had never thought that Lin Lei would be this kind of person. On the other side, Nobita was being beaten by the Bull Demon King. The difference in strength was too great, and he lost his temper after being beaten. Even the hero machine was crushed by the Bull Demon King just when the Bull Demon King wanted to launch the final attack on Nobita. Nobita suddenly closed his eyes and shouted, Rui Jingu Bang, get bigger. With a whoosh, the golden cudgel in Nobita's hand really began to grow bigger, and almost in an instant it knocked the Bull Demon King who was attacking him away. It also continued to grow longer, breaking through the demon tower and directly reaching the highest point of the rock. At this moment, in front of the golden hoop, even the huge Bull Demon King seemed a little small. Boom! The powerful impact caused the Bull Demon King to die on the spot, and the scarlet in his eyes dimmed. On the other side, Princess Iron Fan, who saw this scene, felt dizzy and couldn't believe it, and finally fell directly into the magma. Doraemon Universe. Oh my god. Doraemon and the others were stunned and looked at Nobita. Fat Tiger patted Nobita on the back and said, Nobita, you're such a good guy. You have such a magical skill, but you never use it. You hide it and almost scare us to death. Nobita explained. The me in the picture may not know it either. In the end, I just gamble to see if I have this ability. It turns out that I really have it. Sunio swallowed his saliva. The straight 2.5 killed the Bull Demon King in one shot. It's terrible. Alien world ah. Zhang Chulan was stunned. He was originally at a disadvantage. But how come Nobita turned the tables with just one skill? Susan opened his mouth and then said, the Bull Demon King was killed instantly. Isn't it a bit too careless? He didn't even get hit by Nobita's skills. Susie complained. It turns out that Nobita never used his skills and kept using basic attacks along the way. I was wondering how it could be so difficult for Sun Wukong to beat a few little ghosts. But the death of the Bull Demon King is really puzzling. Zhang Chulan thought of Lin Lei at this time and suddenly felt a little weird. This Lin Lei, he killed both his parents. He was such a filial son. I wonder how big the psychological trauma he has now. In the end, the only one who got hurt was Red Boy. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 096096. The end of Sun Wukong, the fiery eyes and the golden pupils, is just a bond that strangles generation after generation. In the Naruto world, during the Shippuden era, after seeing the golden cudgel growing bigger and bigger, Mei Terumi's heart was moved like a tide, and she licked her lips. It's really a good weapon. Due to the Bull Demon King's previous attack, the supporting pillars of the Demon Tower were destroyed, causing the Demon Tower to collapse. Fortunately, Doraemon took out the Anywhere door in time and escaped with everyone, while the Bull Demon King was submerged in the rising magma. Boom! With a loud bang, the volcano on the top of the flame mountain erupted instantly, and the terrible magma even caused a black cloud in the sky. Lin Lei suddenly hid in Tang Sanzang's arms and sobbed softly. His parents had died in the volcano. Tang Sanzang gently comforted Lin Lei and looked at the erupting volcano with a complicated look. At last, thanks to the Iron Fan Princess's palm leaf fan, with the cooperation of Fat Tiger and Sunio, they successfully extinguished the flames of the flaming mountain. This way the volcano won't continue to burn. Doraemon said with a smile. Nobita also breathed a sigh of relief. It's finally over. At the end, Lin Lei continued his journey with Master Sanzang, while Nobita returned to the modern world in a time machine. In the time tunnel, can we really return to our original world? Nobita is still a little worried. It's okay. Doraemon comforted after returning to Nobita's house. Nobi Tamako also came up and saw that her mother had turned back into a human. Nobita was so excited that tears suddenly flowed from his eyes. And then he threw himself into Yuzi's arms. Mother, what's wrong, kid? And here, the picture gradually dims. Call. After seeing this ending, Nobita and the others all breathed a sigh of relief, and the heavy stone in their hearts finally fell. Great! The world has finally returned to its original state. Nobita patted his chest and smiled. Yes, Doraemon nodded. It was a thrilling adventure. Fortunately, the ending was good. Sunio scratched his head. So this is what Nobita's title of Sun Wukong means. At first I thought Nobita was the reincarnation of Sun Wukong. But how is that possible? Shizuka suddenly thought of something, and a worrying look appeared on her face. But I feel so sorry for Lin Lei. Although the Bull Demon King and Princess Iron Fan are monsters, they are still Lin Lei's parents after all. Nobita walked behind Shizuka and patted her shoulder gently. Shizuka turned around and saw Nobita chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I believe Lin Lei will be able to get through it, and Master Sanzang will definitely take good care of him. Their journey will probably be very exciting." Yeah. Hearing Nobita's words, Shizuka nodded and leaned against Nobita unconsciously, as if she would feel a little warmer this way. The others looked at the two guys who seemed to be alone and were speechless. They didn't know whether to remind them out loud. Zombie world, damn it! Bai Xiaofei was quite happy at first, but he soon thought of a problem. Why does a mere primary school student have to encounter so many things? He couldn't help but complain loudly. The video has ended. Characters being cleared. Rewards are being cleared. In the Doraemon universe, Nobita and Nobi received a reward. Fiery eyes and golden pupils. Fiery eyes and golden pupils are Sun Wukong's special eyes that can see through all disguises, illusions, and changes, and are not even hindered by darkness. Seeing the rewards this time, everyone couldn't help but be jealous. Fiery eyes and golden pupils. That is one of Sun Wukong's unique skills. I didn't expect it to be given away as a reward. It's so exaggerated. Naruto World. Shippuden Period O. Sasuke frowned. Fire eyes. It seems very special after reading the introduction. Can it see through any illusion? It seems that the fire eyes are too restrained by their family's Sharingan. Although it seems that there are not many people in their Uchiha family. But there is no story of Journey to the West in the Naruto world. So Sasuke did not realize that the fire eyes awarded to Nobita is not at the same level of his Sharingan. At this moment, He is still wondering whether the fire eyes can break the so-called strongest illusion of Koto Amatsukami. New round of videos. The bond alone strangles generation after generation. I can't fall down. Behind me are thousands of lights. A real man, Ji Shizhuan. Nexus World. In the Night Raid base, what? All of the members of the Night Raid team suddenly stood up from their seats, staring intently at the new words that appeared on the screen. Ikikamen, who had just finished training and was very tired, was also attracted by the screen and became more energetic. It's Mr. Ji Shizhuan. He's also on the light screen. On the other side, Nishijo Nagi had a gloomy face, and her mood seemed to be the opposite of Kamen's, not very good. She didn't even care when the warm coffee in her hand overflowed from the cup and flowed onto her hand. How could it be this guy? She didn't have a good impression of that man. Soon, a photo appeared on the screen. A man with black hair, wearing a black coat, handsome face, holding the evolution thruster in his hand, looking into the distance, unwavering. More importantly, there's a black giant standing behind him, Nexus. In the victory team, after seeing Nexus in the photo, there was an uproar in the victory team. Daegu widened his eyes and said in surprise, "Except for Tiga, I didn't expect that there are ultra warriors in other worlds." While speaking, he clenched the godlight stick in his hand even more tightly. Although Nori was a little surprised, he soon calmed down. It seems that the number of Ultra Warriors is a little more than we imagined. I still remember that there were 2 stone statues of Ultra Warriors standing next to Tiga at the beginning, but they were all destroyed. 517 Lena opened her mouth slightly. Could it be that Mr. Ji Shizhuan can transform into an Ultra Warrior? It's really amazing. I just don't know how strong this silver gray Ultra Warrior is, and whether he can beat Tiga. Hearing Lena's words, Captain Aruma Hui glanced at Daegu meaningfully, which made Daegu suddenly nervous. The hand holding the godlight, stick hidden in his pocket, was sweating. Did the captain discover something? Shinjo smiled at this time and said, "Although I don't know how strong this Ultra Warrior is compared to Tiga, I still think Tiga is more handsome in terms of appearance." Kamen Haida Universe. 01 World, huh? Fei Jianhorin suddenly sat up from the chairman's chair, opened his mouth exaggeratedly, and his face was full of horror. What is that, a giant? Looking at Ji Shizhuan in the photo again, he suddenly had a guess in his mind. Could this giant be transformed from Ji Shizhuan? It's so cool. He quickly looked at Izzy on the side and said excitedly, "Izzy, see if we can create a giant like the one in the photo with the technology of our current hiding group." Izzy nodded, scanned the photo on the light screen, and shook his head after a while. "Sorry, President Oren, I can't analyze the material of the giant. It seems that it is not a technological armor, but a living being." "What, a living being?" Oren's eyes widened. So the giant was actually a living being. What kind of species was it? It was too scary. Post views. 52. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 0 and 97097. The shock of all the heavens and worlds. Nexus appears. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's home. At this moment, the eyes of several people were also attracted by Nexus in the photo. Nobita stared, pointed at the huge Nexus, and shouted, "Doraemon, what is that, giant?" Doraemon shook his head. "I don't know, I haven't seen it either." Shizuka clasped her hands together and made a prayer gesture. "I don't know why. I always feel that this silver-gray giant has divinity." Fat Tiger touched his chin. "Is that man Ji Shizhuan? He looks quite handsome. Almost as handsome as me." After these words came out, everyone couldn't help but look at Fat Tiger, and then looked at Ji Shizhuan in the photo. In an instant, the room became silent. Seer world, light is a bond. I can understand that. But what does it mean to strangle generation after generation? Xiaozhi scratched his head, his face puzzled. How could light strangle someone? Suddenly, he looked at Xiaomi at his feet. My Xiaomi is also a light element. But what does it have to do with strangling people? It's really weird. Then, under the gaze of all the heavens and worlds, the video on the light screen began white mist and howling cold wind. A helicopter was hovering over the lake, with a handsome man hanging under the helicopter. His name is Ikikamen, and he is a member of the rescue team. He is on a rescue mission. But when he saw the rushing water below, the experience of drowning in his childhood unconsciously emerged in Ikki-kamen's mind. Being submerged by the rushing water, he felt powerless, and no matter how hard he struggled, calling for help was futile. This was a shadow that he would never get rid of in his life. Just like that, Guti stopped in fear. Nexus, the Night Raider, I didn't expect that you, Ikki-kun, are actually afraid of water. The captain of the Night Raid team, and Song Ingfu smiled and joked to Ikki-kamen on the side. Ikki-kamen touched his head, feeling numb, but he just smiled awkwardly, remaining silent on the surface, but secretly complaining in his heart. Didn't we agree to identify Mr. Hamaya-jun? Why am I in the video? Subconsciously, he still didn't want others to discover the secret that he was afraid of water. Now, everyone in the heavens and the world knows it. On the Hayaka star, are you afraid of water? Kara was stunned for a moment. But if you are afraid of water, how can you join the rescue team? Of course, she didn't mean to laugh at Ikki-kamen. After all, everyone has something they are afraid of, and it's not a shameful thing. But she really didn't understand. Since they're a rescue team, it is inevitable to come into contact with water. So how did Ikki-kamen become one? The picture on the screen continued to play soon. The next day came. Ikki-kamen and his colleagues were sitting in the cafeteria, but he had no appetite at the moment and felt uneasy. Just when Ikki-kamen was in a daze, his superior, Mr. Matsunaga, came over and handed him a letter. Ikki-kamen thought it was a dismissal form, but to his surprise, when he opened it, it turned out to be a medical examination form. This made him full of doubts, and he asked, "Mr. Matsunaga, what do you mean by giving this to me?" Matsunaga, who was wearing a suit, showed an ambiguous smile, without any explanation, and just patted Kamen's shoulder gently. "You will know later." Indeed, he soon understood this is a secret transfer after a strange physical examination. Ikki-kamen was told that he was transferred to a TLT in a mysterious organization according to the address given by Mr. Matsunaga. Ikki-kamen drove to the address. On the way, a bus parked in the middle of the road blocked his way. Ikki-kamen boarded the bus to check it out, but to his surprise, the bus was empty. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Just when he was confused, a can on the ground caught his eye. Ikki-kamen curiously bent down and picked up the can on the ground. The moment his hand touched the can, a pool of black and foul-smelling liquid dripped out of the can. In an instant, the dripping black water condensed into a hideous monster covered with bumps. Ikki-kamen was startled and screamed. Several black tentacles grew out of the black water monster's body, tightly wrapping around Ikki-kamen. The terrible feeling of suffocation came over him, and this feeling brought back Ikki-kamen's memory to the scene of drowning when he was a child. This feeling of powerlessness and despair is exactly the same as before. The world of aliens. Oh my god, what the hell is this thing? How could it be so ugly? Zhang Chulin's face changed. This guy with pimples all over his body made him feel disgusted. Zombie world, damn it. Bai Xiaofei was also shocked. Compared with the monster in the picture, he suddenly felt that the zombies in his own world were much more friendly. He would rather be bitten to death by a zombie than be entangled by the tentacles of such a disgusting thing. It was a nightmare experience. What? Didn't this Ikki-kamen just die like that? Pineapple Blowing Snow was a little confused. It had only been a few minutes since the start of the game, and it was impossible that someone would die first. Moreover, this Ikki-kamen was chosen by some mysterious organization, so he shouldn't be a supporting role. Chung Liuxiong put his two chubby hands together and reasoned. It should be a bad omen. After all, the protagonist this time is called Ji Shizhuan, not this person. So even if he died, it would be normal, but it's better not to die. After all, that would be too pitiful. Demon World Vomit. Miyako looked at the monster in the picture and suddenly felt nauseous. She almost vomited the last meal she had. Because she always hated this kind of bumpy monster, it was really disgusting. If she had to have a close contact with a bumpy monster like Ikki-kamen in the picture, she would rather throw a fireball at herself. It would be better to die directly than to suffer this kind of torture. Priest Man, you shook his head. My friend Kamen, it looks like it's dangerous. Miyako did not forget to complain. Dad, you know it without even looking. At the same time, on the Demon Realm Star, after seeing the pimple monster, King Dima's reaction was very different from that of the others. He wiped the corner of his mouth and said greedily, "This monster, it looks really delicious." King Dima, likes to eat this kind of weird things. The video on the screen continues to play. Kamen struggled with all his might, but it was in vain. The power of the monster was far beyond the ability of an ordinary person like Kamen to resist. Feeling the increasing force on his waist, Kamen closed his eyes in despair. The terrible feeling of suffocation made Kamen's consciousness gradually fade, and his hands and feet became weak. Am I going to die just like that? Yes, at this time, Kamen recalled his girlfriend. Lizzie, I haven't married Lizzie yet. Damn it, I really can't accept this. When Kamen was on the verge of death, bang! A loud bang, then a brilliant white light suddenly appeared behind him. A huge amount of energy descended from the sky onto the tentacle monster, instantly blasting it into pieces. Hearing the sound, Kamen turned his head and looked next second. Back he saw a scene that was like a dream. It was also a scene that he would never forget in his life. It was a giant, his arm smashed on the road, and under his arm was a deep pit that looked to be 5 or 6 meters deep. The giant was silver gray in color, with arc-shaped markings all over its body. Although only half of its body was exposed, its huge size still forced Ikki to look up. A faint light was also emanating from its body. The whole body exuded a faint divine aura, and Ikki Koto watched it infatuatedly. For some reason, the moment he saw this giant, all the fear in his heart disappeared. Post views. 32. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 098098. Ji Shizhuan appears and transforms into Nexus. At the same time, the moment the silver gray giant appeared, a line of text appeared beside him. Nexus as expected. This should be the name of this giant. Demon Slayer World. What a powerful force. Muzan Kabutsuji widened his eyes, swallowed his saliva, and stared at the silver gray giant in the video with horror. Although she was not there in person, she could still clearly feel the strong sense of oppression emanating from Nexus. It is no exaggeration to say that the power of this silver gray giant is above hers. Are people in other worlds so powerful? This thought suddenly came to her mind, and Muzan Kabutsuji felt her breath choked. Maybe she was not as powerful as she imagined. See her world so handsome. Sai Xiaozhi immediately hugged his head and said with admiration, "Nexus, is this the name of this giant?" He actually blew up the tentacle monster with one punch. Oh my god, oh my god. Alice shook her head slightly, her pretty face filled with shock, and opened her pink lee. There are such giants in the world. It's too powerful. Is this a god? If she could also become this Nexus, the zombie virus would not be a problem at all. I'm afraid I can just pull the tyrant's head off with one hand. Nexus in the Night Raid team. 973. When Kamen saw Nexus suddenly appear, his eyes were stunned for a moment. He naturally could not forget this familiar scene. If it weren't for Mr. Junamaya's action, I'm afraid I would have died at that time. Thank you so much, Mr. Junamaya. The picture on the light screen continued to play after Nexus destroyed the tentacle monster. He turned into starlight and dissipated into the air. If it weren't for the fist pit on the ground, Kamen would have thought he was hallucinating. About 2 or 3 minutes later, the Night Raid team finally arrived. As soon as the Vice Captain Shijiao, Feng, saw Kamen, he gave him a warning. This made Gu Min feel somewhat disgusted with the Night Raid team. In this way, Kamen and the members of the Night Raid team went to the headquarters base together. In the car, Mr. Matsunaga finally revealed the true face of this world to Kamen. It turns out that the tentacle monsters he just encountered are called alien beasts, and they are unknown life forms from the universe. Armor One World, alien beasts? Meijin was stunned when she heard the collective name of those monsters, and couldn't help saying, "The names are quite similar to the alien beasts in our world, so their strength should not be much different." At this moment, Meijin didn't know that alien beasts and the alien beasts in their world were completely monsters of two different dimensions. After all, Sif, the size of the tentacle monster is not much different from the supernatural beasts in their world, so Meijin made such a judgment. Bei Miao frowned and folded his hands over his chest. But I think that Nexus is much more powerful than our armor. It is so big. If I can become a giant like that, any supernatural beast will be just a punch. Shinan frowned slightly. But if the supernatural beasts in their world are similar to supernatural beasts, with Nexus here, those supernatural beasts may not be able to cause any trouble. But the picture that was broadcast soon gave the answer. The responsibility of the organization TLT that Kamen is about to join is to secretly eliminate these alien beasts so that they will not be exposed to the public. The Night Raid team is a team, in Team Mr. Matsunaga's words, completely overturned Ikki's worldview and changed his fate at this moment. After this day, Ikki officially became a member of the Night Raid team. Time flies, and after days of hard training, the first mission of Gumin is coming soon. A huge alien beast appeared in the factory when the Night Raid team arrived at the factory. They saw the alien beast swallowing a factory worker. Witnessing such a bloody scene, Ikki felt like vomiting, but he managed to hold it back. The members of the Night Raid team who arrived at the scene immediately pointed their guns at the alien beast. However, the next moment, the alien beast actually used its tentacles to lift up two nearby humans and block them in front of it. He actually wanted to use hostages to protect himself. This put the Night Raid team in a dilemma. If you shoot, you'll kill the hostage. If we don't shoot, more people will be devoured by this alien beast or even exposed to the public. This is absolutely not allowed by the Night Raid team. Wow! Zhang Chulan raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at the alien beast in the light curtain in surprise. I didn't expect those alien beasts to be so smart that they even knew to use hostages to threaten us. This was indeed a little beyond his expectations. After all, it was hard to tell from the appearance of those alien beasts that they were intelligent life forms. In the Victory team, seeing this scene, all the members of the Victory team were also shocked. Lena opened her mouth and said, I didn't expect the monsters in their world to be so smart. Their Victory team has solved so many monsters, although most of them were solved with the help of Tiga. But they have never seen a monster that would threaten them with hostages. Just when the Night Raid team was at a loss, suddenly, a man standing on a water tower appeared in sight. He is Ji Shizhuan. Looking at the alien beast that was wreaking havoc in front of him, Himaya Jun raised the trust in Evolution High, and as the background music sounded, he began to transform. A ball of white light enveloped Ji Yajun's entire body. In the darkness, the white light was extremely dazzling, and everyone's attention was attracted by it. Not long after, the white light gradually dispersed, and Ji Yajun's figure disappeared, replaced by a silver-gray giant with a height of 100 meters. Nexus. This is the giant. Ikki Kamen looked at Nexus in front of him and couldn't help shouting, how could a giant appear? The other members of the Night Raid team all opened their mouths wide, with shock in their eyes. Martial Arts Universe. The world of Tianlong Babu. The Beggar's Sect. How could it be? A person can actually turn into a giant. What kind of skill is this? I'm afraid that the ancient magic can't reach this level. Looking at Ji Yajun, who transformed into Nexus, Kyo Feng was dumbfounded. This scene has exceeded his understanding of the world, and this giant is not something he can deal with at first glance. He suddenly felt that his 18 dragons subduing palms was not good enough. Naruto World. Shippuden period. Rain Country. Akatsuki Organization Base. How come this giant looks a bit like Susanoo? Uchiha, Itachi whispered, but then shook his head. The aura exuded by this giant is much stronger than his Susanoo. Kamen Rider 01 World. Handsome. So handsome. No matter how many times I see it, this giant is so handsome. Fei Dian or Run clenches fists, looking at Nexus with excitement and yearning. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's home. At this moment, Nobita couldn't help but widen his eyes. What? That Nexus is actually transformed by Ji Shijun. Although this guess has been made for a long time, it was still very shocking when he saw this scene with his own eyes. Fat Tiger was even more puzzled and asked, "How did he become Nexus?" Doraemon touched his chin. "You notice that he seemed to be holding something in his hand just now? It should be a transformation device or something like that, right? Transformation device? I really want it." Nobita sighed. Who wouldn't want to transform into a handsome and powerful giant in front of so many people to save the whole place? Post views 33. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are num chapter 099. We beat our teammates, and the people in the world were annoyed by the night raid team. In the light curtain, Nexus did not attack the alien beast immediately, but released a long whip of energy, which caught the two people trapped by the alien beast, and then flicked it lightly, sending the two people to the ground safely. He's rescuing hostages, just as Nexus rushed towards the alien beast and prepared to attack. The bullets from a night raid team hit Nexus mercilessly. The bullet created a large amount of sparks on his body. This was a bullet specially made for destroying alien beasts. Its power should not be underestimated. It immediately made Nexus freeze. On the ground, Nagi Nishijo looked at the giant and fired 2 more shots at him without hesitation. Seeing this scene, the audience in all the worlds were stunned. Nexus had not been attacked by the alien beasts, but was attacked by the Night Raiders instead. Was this a blow to our teammates? Seer World Bastard. Achieta was almost vomiting blood because of the weird operation of the Night Raid team. Nexus came to destroy the alien beasts, and this Night Raid team also came to destroy the alien beasts. In this way, aren't the two parties teammates? The result is that the members of the Night Raid team not only did not come to help fight monsters, but opened fire on Nexus first. What the hell is this? Do they think the difficulty of fighting monsters is too low? Even Xiaozhi and Kalyalu were confused. They really didn't understand why the people of the Night Raid team would attack Nexus. The video on the light screen continued to play. Nexus ignored the human attacks and faced the alien beast head-on. With a left kick, the alien beast instantly flew backwards. Nexus took advantage of the victory and took a few big steps to the front of the alien beast. He lifted it up high with both hands and then smashed it down hard. The alien beast fell heavily to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Oh, the alien beast howled in pain. The situation is very good. But at this moment, the human army's artillery fire came one after another, all poured on Nexus. He had no choice but to turn around to resist the attack of human super technological weapons. The alien beast took advantage of the gap when Nexus was attacked by humans. Its wings lit up. It instantly soared into the sky and escaped. Doraemon Universe. What the hell are those guys doing? Fat Tiger stood up from the ground angrily, veins popping out on his fists. Nobita did the same, shouting, "That's right, those guys came here to destroy the alien beasts. So why did they attack Nexus? It's all their fault. They caused the alien beasts to run away." Well, seeing the two people getting a little excited, Doraemon had to stand up and said, "Calm down, both of you. Maybe the members of the Night Raid team think that Nexus is also a threat. After all, they are not Icky common, and they have not been saved by Nexus. Maybe they also think that Nexus is an alien creature." However, despite this, Nobita couldn't help but complain. Even so, just from the appearance, you can tell that the alien beast is definitely more dangerous than Nexus. That's right. Fat Tiger nodded, agreeing with Nobita's statement. Then we should cooperate with Nexus to eliminate the alien beast first. Alien world shit. Zhang Chuan had never expected that the Night Raid team would attack again after just one attack. Isn't it obvious that Nexus is here to destroy the alien beast? Why are they attacking? Su Si chuckled and took out the cigarette from his mouth. This group of Night Raiders are just like the teammates I met when I was playing games. They are so bad. Ji Shizhuan is so unlucky to meet these people. Su San shook his head. It's unreasonable. If we let the alien beast run away and someone else gets killed later, it will be terrible. Is this group of Night Raiders really an official organization? I even doubt whether they are in the same group as the Night Raiders. Seeing the alien beast flying farther and farther, Nexus directly resisted the attack of the Night Raid team, kicked his feet, and flew into the air. In the air, Nexus instantly turned into a youth form, with red lines covering his entire body. His strength and speed were greatly increased, and it didn't take long for him to catch up with a fleeing alien beast. Next moment, Nexus fired a ball of light at the alien beast, taking it into the meta realm and disappearing from everyone's sight. The meta realm is an independent space dedicated to Nexus, in which Nexus's combat power in all aspects can be significantly improved. As expected, facing Nexus blessed by the meta field, the alien beast had no power to resist at all. Within a few rounds, it was beaten to pieces by Nexus. Then the red light fell to the ground, and a man walked out from the slowly dissipating red light. Due to the heavy consumption, Ji Yajun staggered and almost fell to the ground accidentally. After a while, under the moonlight, Ji Yajun's figure gradually lengthened and finally disappeared completely in the shadows. When the work is done, I will leave, hiding my body and name. This is a real man, Junamaya, in the Nexus world. In the night raid base, Captain, you saw it. It was Mr. Junamaya who helped us eliminate the alien beasts. He is not our enemy, Ikki shouted excitedly. He knew the conflict between the night raid team and Mr. Junamaya. The purpose of his words was to eliminate the night raid team's grudge against Nexus. However, before the captain and Kara Isuk could speak, Nagi Nishijo, who was sitting next to Kamen, said coldly, "You have seen it, Gumin. A force as powerful as a giant is far beyond our control. Are we going to leave our fate to a stranger? Can you guarantee that Ji Yajun will not do anything to harm humans in the future? You know, humans are indeed creatures that cannot be trusted. Besides, since he can transform into a giant, that Himaya Jun can no longer be called a human being. It is possible that he is just competing with the alien beast for food." Nishijo Nagi's words immediately made Ikki speechless. He opened his mouth to say something, but finally closed it. At the same time, a doubt came to his mind. Why did the vice captain have such great malice towards Mr. Himaya Jun and Nexus? What exactly had she experienced? However, Ikki had no way of knowing these. Nishijo Nagi continued, "Instead of leaving your life and death to others, you might as well train hard and improve your own strength. This is what you should do now." After she finished speaking, she turned away without even looking at Kamen. But this time, Kamen's voice came from behind again. "Although I don't know why you, Vice Captain, hate Mr. Amaya Jun so much, but if it weren't for him, I would have died at the hands of the alien beast long ago. I can't guarantee that Mr. Himaya Jun will always help humans, but I can guarantee that he will never do anything to harm humans." The determination revealed in Ikki words moved the night raid team. However, Nagi Nishijo ignored him and walked out of the hall. In the world of Ultraman Gaia, a mysterious place, humans are just a group of selfish, low-level creatures who are blinded by desire. I didn't expect that someone would want to protect them. This Nexus is as stupid as you, Gaia. A tall blue giant looked at the injured Himaya Jun in the video and sneered. He is the Ultra Warrior who symbolizes the power of the ocean, a guru. In his opinion, humans are the embodiment of destruction and evil, and they should be eliminated, so he really doesn't understand what Nexus is thinking. However, this also reminded him of a good friend of his, the god of the earth, Gaia. Gaia's philosophy is surprisingly consistent with Nexus. Both choose to fight for humans. Post views. 36. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 100. Dark Faust appears. This girl is also called Sarah in the Light Curtain. As time went by, Ikki participated in several missions. From the original immaturity to maturity by chance, he accidentally discovered the secret that Ji Yajun was a Nexus adapter. At the same time, he formed a special friendship with Himaya Jun. Apart from work, my relationship with my girlfriend is getting better and better. Everything is moving in a good direction. On this day, Gumin was having dinner. Suddenly, a rapid alarm sounded, and he realized that another mission had come. Gumin finished his meal in a few seconds and rushed to the base. When Kamen arrived at the base, the combat commander Karara began to announce the mission. The vibration waves of alien beasts appeared in the number 9 factory area, and a night raid team was needed to eliminate them. This was not a complicated task, but when we arrived at the scene, we found a headache. There was a little girl in the factory. How to solve this 620 of the alien beast and rescue the girl safely at the same time is a thorny problem on the other side. Jiajun also rushed to the scene just as he took out the Trust Evolution and was about to transform. The next second, several lasers attacked him from distance. Jiajun dodged these lasers of unknown origin by rolling sideways. After the smoke cleared, a figure slowly emerged. "I am Faust." Under Jun's surprised gaze, the figure slowly spoke. "This guy, who calls himself Faust, he has a pair of dark eyes, red markings all over his body, and a black indicator light on his chest. He doesn't look like a human being at all." Tiga World. In the victory team, Dark Faust. All the members shouted in unison as if they had a telepathic connection. Shinjo frowned and said, "This guy looks like an ultra warrior, but he exudes a dark aura and is a little small." Iruma nodded and said, "That's normal. Not all ultra warriors are righteous and bright. There may also be dark and evil ultra warriors. However, both Tiga and Nexus are righteous, so we subconsciously ignore this point. Evil ultra warriors, can Nexus defeat them?" Lena's face showed a trace of worry. Team member Yi Rue spoke at this time. "It seems that ultra warriors should also be a race, just like humans. I really don't know if there will be evil ultra warriors in our world." Zombie World, Dark Faust. "Good man. I can tell from the name that he is not a good person." Bai Xiaofei was shocked. Besides, this Dark Faust looked a little too ugly, and he was totally incomparable to Nexus. The screen continued to play looking at Faust, who suddenly appeared in front of him. Ji Yajun frowned slightly. "Who are you?" Faust said calmly, "I am your shadow. Just like a coin has two sides, there will always be light and darkness in the world. And I am the darkness in your heart. Stop joking." Ji Yajun shouted angrily. There was indeed an indelible shadow in his heart, but it was definitely not the guy in front of him. Next moment, he took out his transformation device and transformed into Nexus in a dazzling light. Then he instantly turned into a youth form, raised his arms, and seemed to want to cast Meta Field. Faust knew the power of Meta's domain, so he waved his hand and opened up the Dark Domain. The Dark Realm is the opposite of the Meta Realm. Similar to the Meta Realm, it can enhance Faust's combat power. In an instant, the two realms collided, silently confronting each other. At this moment, Nexus and Faust attacked at the same time. Fists and feet collide, mountains collapse, and the earth cracks. The surrounding terrain began to change as the two giants fought. The towering mountains and rushing rivers were soon reduced to flat ground under their continuous attacks. But Faust obviously underestimated Nexus's strength. Even without the bonus of Meta's domain, he found that Nexus was still better than him in terms of speed and strength. Dark Faust was beaten back. 3 minutes later, Nexus used a shoulder throw to throw Dark Faust to the ground, raising a lot of dust. "Enjoy your battle. Till next time." Dark Faust, who had just eaten the turtle, still spoke stubbornly. After leaving a cruel word, he instantly turned into a phantom and fled. In the cosmic prison, lost. This Dark Faust really brought shame to the Dark Ultra Warriors. If all else fails, we should just give up the dark and join the light. We in the dark camp don't accept trash. Belia looked at the fleeing Dark Faust, and his scarlet eyes revealed a raging rage. "If it were me, this Nexus would not last a minute in front of me." In the Demon Realm Star. At this moment, King Dima was sitting on the throne, looking at Faust, who was fleeing in the picture, and a sneer appeared on his calm face. Then he said lightly, "Jumping clown." Soon, he set his eyes on Nexus again, and a trace of fighting spirit emerged in his eyes. "Really good. I haven't seen prey that satisfies me like this for a long time. Nexus, your taste must be good." In the Super Beast world, seeing the so-called Dark Faust just run away, the corners of Hua Lin Fei's mouth twitched for a while, and he shook his head and complained, "It turns out that this guy can't beat Nexus. He said so many pretentious words when he came up. I thought he was the same as Pluto, but he was beaten away in just a few minutes." Miao Chaojuan also agreed and sighed. It's so embarrassing. I thought that Faust's strength should be comparable to Nexus. What's the darkness in his heart? Doraemon Universe. The Kingdom of Mermaids. Little Harry was also speechless. If you can't beat him, then you can't beat him. Why do you have to leave such a harsh word when you leave? It's even more embarrassing. It's okay to say harsh words if you win, but forget it if you lose. Sophia's eyes lit up. This Nexus is so powerful. I knew that the Dark Faust would not be his opponent. The screen was still playing after defeating Dark Faust. Himaya Jun, with the help of Ikikamen, successfully eliminated the alien beast and safely rescued the girl trapped in the factory. Himaya Jun thought that his fate with Dark Faust had ended here. But I didn't expect that this was just the beginning. At this moment, he did not realize that he was involved in a bigger conspiracy. At this moment, the video screen suddenly changed and amidst 3.5, Himaya Jun walked aimlessly. He didn't know where he was going, or even why he was here. I don't know how long I walked, but the fog became more and more dispersed, and it seemed to be reaching the end soon. Ji Yajun couldn't help but quicken his pace at this moment. A little girl suddenly appeared, stood in front of Ji Yajun, and gave him a gentle smile. The moment he saw the little girl, Ji Yajun opened his eyes wide, full of disbelief, and his body trembled violently. "So, Yi." Yajun stretched out his hand tremblingly, wanting to touch the girl's head. Doraemon Universe. On a space-time pirate ship, Sarah. This girl's name is the same as yours. Furuka looked at the girl in the picture with some surprise, and then looked at his sister beside him. Yes, what a coincidence. This girl must be Mr. Ji Shizhuan's sister. Sarah also looked at the light curtain curiously and thought so. Post views. 53. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 101-101. Ji Shizhuan scars. Has he always been fighting with injuries? In the light curtain, Sarah. Ji Yajun stretched out his hand tremblingly, wanting to touch the girl's head. But suddenly, the sky was filled with gunfire, and the girl's figure was instantly submerged in the flames. That smile as warm as the sun will always stay at that moment. No. Ji Yajun screamed in despair. His expression was so sad that it made people feel distressed. Sarah died in front of him again, and he could only watch helplessly. This feeling of losing his beloved made him feel like a knife was cutting his heart. Not only was Himaya Jun in the video screaming in despair, but Himaya Jun outside the video was also in great pain. So, in a dimly lit room, Brigadier General Himaya held Sarah's photo tightly in his hands, tears welling up in his eyes. Looking at his arms, he saw scars all over, which were left by his battle with the alien beasts. At this moment, this strong man finally couldn't hold back the grief in his heart and burst into tears. 02. I didn't expect that Mr. Himaya Jun also had a past that he didn't want others to know. In the night raid team, Ikikamen looked at Himaya Jun, who was crying in the video, lowered his head, and whispered. This was the first time he saw Himaya Jun cry. Another doubt arose in his heart. Who is that girl? Judging from her age, it is obviously impossible for her to be Mr. Himaya Jun's wife. She should be a sister or something. Nishijo Nagi, who was pouring coffee, stared blankly at Himaya Jun, who was in despair. She didn't even notice that the coffee spilled over the quilt, and murmured, "Is this the shadow you have buried in your heart?" At this moment, most of the prejudice that Nishijo Nagi had against Himaya Jun disappeared, because Himaya Jun's experience reminded her of her own past. When she was a child, she witnessed her parents being killed by alien beasts. Because of this, she chose to join the night raid team and had great malice towards alien beasts. Like Himaya Jun, she had experienced the pain of losing a loved one. Doraemon Universe. Nobita's home. This should be the shadow in Mr. Ji Shizhuan's heart. Thinking of the conversation between Ji Shizhuan and Faust just now, combined with Ji Shizhuan's painful expression in the picture, this girl named Sarah must have a special relationship with Mr. Ji Shizhuan. Nobita lowered his head and guessed, wow. Shizuka couldn't help but shed tears and subconsciously grabbed Nobita's arm beside her. Mr. Ji Shizhuan, you are so pitiful. This. Nobita's face suddenly turned red, and his thoughts suddenly stopped. Doraemon stroked his chin and said, Sarah must have died in the war. What happened to Mr. Ji Shizhuan in the past? In great pain, Jiajun suddenly woke up looking around the familiar room. He sighed deeply. Call. It turned out to be a dream. After being frightened like this, Jiajun no longer wanted to continue sleeping. So he got out of bed and washed his face. When washing his face, the cold water flowed over the wound on his arm scratched by the alien beast, causing Jiajun to cry out in pain. It hurts. At this moment, the trust evolver on the table emitted bursts of white light. This is the signal of detecting alien beasts. Jiajun quickly bandaged his wound, put on a black windbreaker, and rushed out the door. This Ji Shizhuan is truly worthy of the title of hero. The old Taoist priest shook his head slowly, sighed, and said, But it's not easy to be a hero, and heroes have a short life. Hearing the old Taoist words, Zhang Lingyu's heart tightened. It was the first time he heard his master speak so highly of a person. However, at present, this Ji Shizhuan is definitely worthy of the title. From the previous scene, he can see that Ji Shizhuan has many wounds of different sizes on his body, which is simply shocking. I think it was left by the battle with the group of alien beasts. Maybe some of them were caused by the guys in the night raid team. But when Ji Shizhuan saw the signal from the transformation device, he rushed to the battlefield without any hesitation. This spirit is really admirable. Nexus World. In the night raid team, Gu Min Yihui's pupil shrank, and he was a little unbelievable. Could it be that Mr. Ji Shizhuan has been fighting with injuries all the time? Damn it, I didn't know anything before. When he thought that some of the wounds on Mr. Ji Shizhuan's body were caused by them, Ikki-kamen felt as if his heart was being strangled by something, and he felt very uncomfortable. Not only Kamen, but all the members of the night raid team present at this time felt a strong sense of guilt. Even Vice Captain Zijo, who usually looked down on Ji Shizhuan, lowered his head and said nothing. Seer World, oh my god. Xiaozhi and the other two were shocked. How come there are so many wounds on his body? It's terrible. It seems that every time Mr. Ji Shizhuan transforms and fights, it is a torture. After seeing this, Achida was even more disgusted with the so-called night raid team. If it weren't for those stupid teammates, Mr. Ji Shizhuan's battle wouldn't be so difficult. Kalyulu covered her mouth with her hands. I can't imagine how Mr. Ji Shizhuan insisted on fighting with so many wounds. His will is too strong. Yes, so many wounds, it hurts just to see them. Xiaozhi nodded heavily, agreeing with what Kalyulu said. As the saying goes, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. When Ji Shizhuan gained the trust of the Evolver and transformed into Nexus, a responsibility heavier than a mountain and deeper than the sea was placed on him. But Ji Shizhuan used his will to shoulder this mountain. Most of the audience only saw the handsome scene of Ji Shizhuan transforming in a Nexus and fighting against the alien beast. But they had no idea what he had paid behind the scenes. Was it scars all over his body, or was it unimaginable mental pressure? The picture on the light screen continued to play, following the guidance of the trusted Evolver. Ji Yajun came to a forest. At first glance, he saw a pollen monster wreaking havoc. Ji Yajun did not hesitate, raised the trust Evolver high, transformed in a Nexus with ease, and fought with the pollen xenomorph. However, just when Nexus and the pollen beast were in high spirits, a red laser shot from a distance and hit Nexus in the back. Then, Dark Faust slowly emerged from the shadows. The first time Nexus saw Dark Faust, he felt something was wrong and immediately deployed the meta field. However, Dark Faust waved his hand and summoned boundless darkness to devour the newborn light, and took Nexus into the Dark Realm. Under the siege of Dark Faust and Pollen Xenomorph, Nexus gradually lost and his movements became slower. Dark Faust seized the opportunity and let the Pollen Beast tie up Nexus's limbs, while he gave him a heavy elbow strike. Soon, the indicator light on Nexus' chest began to flash red. He knew he couldn't delay any longer. Call out. At this time, a sound of breaking air came from the sky. Human combat troops have arrived at the battlefield. Post views. 40. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 102102. The fog is thick, the Night Raid team's strange Operation Doraemon universe. And Nobita's home. After seeing the Night Raid team, Nobita and his friends did not feel relieved, but became more worried. After all, the Night Raid team had done too many weird things before. The alien beasts were already very strong, and Ji Shijun was still injured, so it was already very difficult. As a result, the Night Raid team insisted on increasing the difficulty, and directly raised the difficulty to hell. No, I feel like I'm going to have high blood pressure when I see this Night Raid team now. I need to take it easy first. Nobita waved his hand, touched his forehead, and leaned on Doraemon's back. Fat Tiger raised his fist, and even though the Night Raid team on the screen couldn't hear him, he still shouted like a threat. You guys, I'm warning you, if you dare to attack from behind while Nexus and the alien beast are fighting again, believe it or not, your uncle will let Nobita tear open the dimensional door and rush over to teach you a lesson. But Xiaofu interrupted and said, we don't know the coordinates of their world. How can we get there? You, stop interrupting me. Suddenly, Fat Tiger felt that he could not hold his face anymore, and without thinking twice, he punched Xiaofu on the head. Hey, Doraemon shook his head. He just hoped that this so-called Night Raid team could play a role this time. Come on, don't let the team members down again. Mr. Ji Shijun already had a hard time. At this time, in the field, Nexus dodged the attack of the pollen monster with a side flip, and then fired a laser at Dark Faust. Dark Faust didn't care and blocked the flying laser with his hand. But as luck would have it, the laser broke through the barrier of the field and hit the fighter jet that came to support. What was even more surprising was that the fighter plane that was hit was the fighter plane of Ikki Kamen and Vice Captain Nagi Nishijo. With many years of combat experience, Nishijo Nagi made the most correct operation in an instant, avoiding the destruction of the plane and the death of everyone. But Ikki was not so lucky. The fighter plane plunged into the jungle with flames. Ikki on the plane fell into a coma, and it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Happy Superman world, Xiaozhi said in a daze. Is this going to happen? Hearing this, the Dagwai shook his head and said, it shouldn't be. I feel that Ikki is similar to Nobita. They are both very lucky. No matter how urgent the situation is, they always seem to be able to escape death. Hey, if we had this luck, we wouldn't have been caught by the elevator door. Dada's expression suddenly became complicated, and he couldn't help but think of the elevator door that changed his life. After waking up from his coma, he rubbed his swollen head. After all, he was a specially trained fighter, and Ikki Kamen quickly realized the situation. Just stood up and wanted to help other teammates who were fighting, but just as he stepped out of the fighter plane, he saw a woman fainted in a stream. This woman was very familiar to Guman, because this woman is his girlfriend, Saida Rico Strange. Why is Lizzie here? For Ikki Kamen at this moment, this is completely incomprehensible. Although he was very confused, he immediately ran over, hugged Lizzie in his arms, and checked her injuries. But at this moment, Saida Rico woke up from her coma, but Guman found that she was holding a token in her hand. The name of Nishijo Nagi is clearly written on the token. These mysteries, one after another, inexplicably made Ikki Kamen feel a chill down his spine. He always feels like something bad is happening. At this time, Nishijo Nagi came from a distance, and when she saw the token in Saida Rico's hand, her face suddenly changed. He snatched the token in a flash, staring at the mysterious token carefully, not leaving out any corner. Ikki Kamen was a little confused when he saw Nagi's reaction, but out of politeness, he did not interrupt her. And Saida Rico in his arms had a dazed look in her eyes, quietly looking at her boyfriend in front of her, without saying a word, like a well-behaved and delicate doll after a while. Nishijo Nagi put down the token in her hand and uttered a sentence in a bad tone. Have you seen Gozo Lumu? At this moment, the background music suddenly became very creepy. Why did the background music suddenly become so scary? I always feel a chill on my back. Hey, Tanjiro, is there a ghost nearby? Agatsuma Zenitsu hugged his arms and shivered. Tanjiro looked at the clear sky and turned his head and said, it's still daytime. How could there be a ghost? But I always feel a chill on my back. In the Conan world, When Hyper AI saw this, she also realized that there was a huge conspiracy involved, but now there are too few clues to start. In the night raid team, Wadakura Isuk. Kamen, has your girlfriend been in contact with Garoki? Kamen was stunned for a moment and asked in confusion. Captain, who? Is this Garoki? Before Wadakura Isuk could answer, Nishijo Nagi, who was leaning against the wall, answered first. Garoki Shinya is the former vice captain of the night raid team. He was the best alien hunter in the night raid team at that time. In the end, for unknown reasons, he left the night raid team without saying goodbye. Nishijo Nagi said expressionlessly, but Ikki Kamen could sense a hint of loneliness and anger in her words. It seems that this Garoki Shinya is an important person to the vice captain. However, Lizzie is just an ordinary person. Why did she get to know the former vice captain of the night raid team? Kamen rubbed his chin and thought for a long time, but couldn't figure it out. However, the uneasiness in his heart gradually expanded. The world of aliens, there's something wrong with this Kamen Ikki's girlfriend. Zhang Chulan subconsciously noticed that Lizzie was different, but he couldn't explain why. He just felt it was strange. Fortunately, Su Si helped him speak up at this time. Her eyes don't look angry at all, but she doesn't look like a dead person either. She feels like a doll. Yes. Hearing the word doll, Zhang Chulan nodded instantly. It was this weird feeling. He felt that this Lizzie was not a human being, but just a toy with a human body, but no soul. Susan pushed his glasses. This Lizzie suddenly appeared here and fainted for some reason. She seemed to be holding a stranger's token in her hand, and judging from the reaction of that Nishijo Nagi, she definitely knows the person on the token, and even has an unusual relationship with him. There are really too many mysteries about this Lizzie making money. At this time, Zhang Chulan had a flash of inspiration, and suddenly he had an idea in his mind that even he found incredible, but he opened his mouth and didn't say it in the end. Let's take a look first. The picture on the light screen continued to play. Gumin knows that he is an ordinary person, but he thinks that the luckiest thing in his life is that he has a gentle and beautiful girlfriend like Lizzie. It was an autumn. Gumin was sitting on a bench in the park. It was very windy that day, and a few paintings floated over. Along with the wind came a girl named Lizzie. Gumin quickly helped Lizzie pick up the scattered paintings. When their eyes met, their hearts beat fast. This is the first time Kamen and Lizzie meet. Beautiful, gentle, peaceful. This is Gumin's first impression of Lizzie. Gumin had to admit that he had fallen in love with Lizzie since the first time they met. Post views 41. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 103-103. Faust's true identity. The collapse of Ikki Kamen. Fox World He by Yuechu, holding a bamboo leaf in his mouth, shook his hair, shook his head, and showed a disdainful smile. On the side, Tushan Susu looked over, tilted her head, and there was a puzzled look on her cute face. Brother Taoist, why are you smiling so strangely? Did you see something? Bai Yuechu smiled and said, Little fox, remember that there is no such thing as love at first sight. All love at first sight is just lust at first sight, just another way of saying it. So, Bai Yuechu pointed at Gumin Yihui in the picture and said, This guy is just coveting Li Zi's body. Of course, there is nothing wrong with that. After all, a gentleman loves a beautiful lady. Besides, Gumin Yihui is a handsome man, and he is a good match for this girl. Tusan Susu wisi immediately frightened. She looked at Bai Yuechu with shining eyes and said with admiration, Brother Taoist, you are so awesome. Not long after Gumin's confession, the two got together. Every time when Gumin was tired after participating in a mission, Lizzie would always comfort him, which made him feel relaxed. After the last date, Lizzie even said that she wanted to introduce Gumin to her family. In this regard, Ikki Kamen is looking forward to it. Kamen Haida Kabuto Vert. Seeing this, Tendo Suji couldn't help but frown. Something is wrong. It's very wrong. 673. Hearing this, Kagami scratched his head. What's wrong? Kamen is very handsome. Lizzie is also very beautiful. It feels like a match made in heaven. They should be very happy. I just don't know when I can have such a beautiful and gentle girlfriend. Hearing Kagami's complaints, Tian Dao shook his head slightly. I'm afraid things won't be that simple. Well, how did you know? Intuition. Tian Dao Zongxi just replied with these two words indifferently, and then added, my intuition has always been very accurate. Kagami's face froze. Maybe you're overthinking it. I don't believe anything bad happened. How could it be such a coincidence? After the mission was over, Kamen immediately sent Lizzie to a rehabilitation hospital. He no longer had the heart to think about why Lizzie appeared on the battlefield. He just wanted her to be safe. Fortunately, Lizzie's injuries were not serious, and she would probably only need to stay in the hospital for a few days to recover. This made Gumin feel relieved, but he inexplicably felt that Lizzie's eyes looking at him became a little strange. A few days later, Lizzie returned home after recovering. As soon as she opened the door, dazzling white light shone on her face, and a boy about 17 or 18 years old was looking at Lizzie with surprise. Sister, Xiaolong. Lizzie gently touched the boy's head, and then followed the boy into the house. At the table, Lizzie was having dinner with her parents and brother. The soft light outside the window makes everything seem so warm and beautiful. Lizzie, Mom and Dad, I'm introducing someone to you this weekend. After hearing this, Lizzie's parents' expressions suddenly became strange. Oh, who is it? Lizzie was about to say the man's name, but her mind went blank, and she couldn't remember anything. It's who? Lizzie's expression became painful. But at this moment, the bright living room suddenly darkened. The figures of father, mother, and brother all vanished into the darkness, leaving only Lizzie in the huge living room. The sudden scene scared Lizzie so much that she walked towards the mirror in fear. At this moment, a deep voice echoed in Lizzie's mind. You are a puppet. This is a beautiful doll I made. The next second, the face of Dark Faust appeared behind Lizzie in the mirror. Sure enough, Zhang Chulin's eyes widened. Things were exactly as he had guessed. What's wrong, Chulan? Noticing Zhang Chulan's expression, Su Si turned his head and asked. Zhang Chulan took a deep breath. If I guess correctly, this Idariko is the Dark Faust. What? Zhang Chulan continued to explain. In this case, it can explain why Lizzie appeared on the battlefield. She was beaten back to human form by Nexus, who was transformed by Ji Shizhuan. Since Nexus can be transformed from a human, why can't Dark Faust? That makes sense. Su San nodded. However, this Lizzie herself doesn't seem to realize that she is the Dark Faust. There must be a mastermind behind her. Hasn't the mastermind already appeared? Zhang Chulin's mouth curled up slightly. I mean that Garoki. Su Si reacted instantly. Since Lizzie had the token of that guy called Garoki, it must be related to him. In addition, according to Nishijo Nagi's reaction, that Garoki is definitely not a simple person. It is indeed very likely that he is the culprit. It feels a little scary all of a sudden. Sophia clasped her hands tightly, shivering as she looked at the screen, feeling a chill on her back. This can't be a horror movie. And why is Dark Faust behind Ms. Lizzie? Is she controlled by Dark Faust? How weird. In the night raid team, Nishijo Nagi's expression was a little solemn. She suddenly remembered that the part where Saito Riko was injured last time seemed to be the same as the part where Dark Faust was injured by Nexus, both on the right arm. Moreover, Saito Riko would appear on the battlefield inexplicably. These clues were strung together at this moment, and a truth slowly surfaced in Nishijo Nagi's mind. Saito Riko is really Dark Faust. The Night Raid team is a national team after all, and the players in it are among the millions of people. Carefully selected, they must be much more perceptive than ordinary people. At this time, they also more or less sense something wrong. For a moment, the atmosphere of the whole team became a little subtle. Kamen obviously also noticed something. He kept his head down from beginning to end, trembling, and said nothing. Nishijo Nagi was about to say something, but he was stopped by the captain and Song Yingfu. He patted Kamen on the shoulder and said in a deep voice, "Don't be anxious. Watch it first." Kamen Ikki nodded vigorously. The picture on the light screen continued to play. Here, Ikki found out that Lizzie's family had disappeared half a month ago. Thinking of Lizzie's strange behavior in the past few days, under many doubts, Gumin decided to go to Lizzie's house to investigate. But unexpectedly, halfway through the journey, Dark Faust suddenly appeared in front of Gumin. Fortunately, Jiajun appeared in time 10 minutes later. At high speed, Gumin arrived at the door of Lizzie's house. He took out the key that Lizzie had given him before and opened it. The gray room, without a trace of light, looked very gloomy, completely different from the warm home that Lizzie had described. Following the stairs, Gumin came to Lizzie's room. Countless dark, scary, and bloody drawings are placed all over the room. Gumin couldn't believe it. In his impression, Lizzie's paintings had always been soft, bright, and full of hope. How could it be so scary now? Ikki collapsed. Doraemon universe. In Nobita's home, after getting the golden eyes, Nobita's vision is much better than before. Although the picture is very dark, Nobita can still see the scene in Lizzie's painting clearly. He was stunned soon, because he could see that the picture in Miss Lizzie's painting was a monster. However, the existence of alien beasts is a secret. Except for a few people like Ji Shizhuan and the Night Raid team, no one else knows about alien beasts. But Miss Lizzie drew the appearance of alien beasts, and there are many of them. After combining them with Faust in the mirror, Nobita frowned immediately. Could it be that Miss Lizzie is being controlled by someone? After all, Nobita still remembered the voice that sounded beside Miss Liko, saying that Miss Liko was his puppet. Post views 42. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 104-104. Doll. Ikki, who's about to turn evil in the light curtain on the other side, in the meta area Nexus and Darkness Faust, are fighting fiercely. Nexus kicked Dark Faust away with a flying kick, then put his hands together and released a storm cross ray, hitting Dark Faust's left shoulder. Dark Faust cried out in pain and escaped from Meta's territory with injuries. The next second, the screen switches. Lizzie covered her bleeding left arm and walked barefoot in the jungle. There was still a silly smile on his face, and the blood that flowed out dyed the ground red. At this point, all the truth has come to light. The Dark Faust who has been fighting with Nexus for a long time is Ikki girlfriend. Sidoriko, Kamen Rider Beeled World. What? When I learned the truth, I opened my mouth wide. My pupils were like an earthquake, filled with shock and horror. Miss Lizzie is actually the Dark Faust. Is this true or not? Kiryu Sinto glanced at Ryuga, shook his head, and chuckled. We didn't know it now, right? Lizzie was suspicious from the beginning, but she looked like she was being controlled by someone, like a puppet, at the mercy of others. Fuck. Bai Xiaofei hugged his head and said in surprise, this Dark Faust had turned out to be a girl, and such a beautiful girl. But whose voice is that in Lizzie's ear? Fox Demon World. Bai Yuechu's mouth twitched. He had just said that Saida Lizzie and Ikki were a good match and would be happy together. But what happened a little while later? He was told that Saida Lizzie's true identity was Dark Faust. This is a joke. Tushan Susu tightened her body and shrank closer to Bai Yuechu. Brother Taoist, Lizzie's smile is so scary. Bai Yuechu nodded. Lizzie's smile in the picture looked crazy and distorted, but Lizzie's appearance was very beautiful. This contrast made people feel a little chilling. Lizzie now feels like a female ghost. The picture on the light screen continued as Lizzie walked in the jungle like a zombie. The devil's words echoed in her ears again. You are a puppet. It's a beautiful doll that I carefully designed. Suddenly memories came to mind, and Lizzie recalled everything. It was a dark night. Lizzie's family was attacked by alien beasts. Her father, mother, and brother all died tragically in front of her. Just as Lizzie was crying in despair, a TLT member wearing a helmet and with an unclear face came forward with a gun. But unexpectedly, the gun was not aimed at the alien beast, but at Saitata Riko. Bang! After a gunshot, the scene suddenly became quiet. This is the identity of Riko Saida, a walking corpse, a puppet that should have died long ago, but was controlled by someone to do evil. At this moment, the video screen suddenly changed. The camera was focused on a handsome man wearing a black leather jacket, who looked no less handsome than Haim Yajun. He is the real mastermind behind the scenes. Former vice captain of a night raid team, Goroki Shinya. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. For Saito-Riko's experience, the audience of Wanjia felt sad for her. In the Nexus world, in the night raid team, no. This is not true. Ikki Kamen stood up from the chair with a whoosh, holding his head with his hands and screaming in pain. He really didn't want to believe that the lover who had been with him day and night was already dead. Just a body without a soul, only an empty shell. This made Ikki Kamen completely collapse, and he immediately ran out of the night raid team base. He wanted to find Riko and see it with his own eyes. Another person who stood up like Kamen was Nagi Nishijo. But she was not sad for Riko Saito. Nagi Nishijo ordered with a serious expression. It is obvious that Riko Saito is the Dark Faust. Send out the night raid team to catch her quickly. Otherwise, the consequences will be disastrous. Yes, although the team members were saddened by what happened to Kodo, this was not the time to talk about feelings. So they all stood up and shouted loudly. Naruto world, Shippuden period, is it really a tragedy? In the Hidden Rain village, Pain sighed expressionlessly, then turned his head, looked at a purple-haired girl and said, Conan, start the Moon Eye project as soon as possible. Xiaozhi Baihu. Conan nodded and said softly, as long as we recruit another Kaga level member, we can start the plan. Pain said nothing more. His expression was still indifferent, and his purple pupils stared into the distance. Tiga world. In the Victory Team base, asshole. Those damn monsters have caused another family to break up. Daigu slammed the table hard, his eyes filled with anger, and he looked at the monsters with gritted teeth. Iruma Hui frowned. It seems that Goroki is in the same group with those monsters. Damn it. Zero, please give me flowers, Zero Zong Fong shouted. What kind of weird thing is this night raid team? A former vice captain actually colluded with a group of alien beasts and even attacked humans. It's simply unforgivable, Xin Chung echoed. Not only that, he even wantonly controlled Miss Lizzie's body. Even if she died, he didn't let her rest in peace. What a beast. Lena sighed. Poor Miss Lizzie, I didn't expect she had died a long time ago. So this is what they meant by a doll. Mr. Guman is also very pitiful. His girlfriend, who he had loved for so long, turned into a corpse. They were about to get married. No one can accept this. In the light curtain, after defeating Dark Faust, Himaya Jun held his injured arm and staggered in the woods. Dark Faust's strength was almost the same as his, so it was impossible for him to defeat him unscathed. At this moment, Jia-jun's eyes were attracted by a figure in front of him. Why does this person look so familiar? Oh no, could that person be Ikki Kamen? Thinking of this, Jia-jun immediately rushed over. When he saw Kamen Ikki for the first time, his brows instantly frowned. Such a strong dark aura. Strange, why does Gumin have a dark aura? Zombie world call. This Ikki Kamen is going to turn evil. Bai Xiaofei raised his eyebrows slightly. Although he could not feel the so-called dark aura, he could see that Ikki Kamen was not in a good state at the moment. His whole face seemed numb, and there was a hint of cruelty in his eyes. He was completely unlike the usual Ikki Kamen, which was scary. He. That's it, fall into darkness. King Dima laughed grimly. What he liked most was to watch with his own eyes those guys who yearned for light, sinking into darkness step by step, unable to extricate themselves. Before he could think, Ikki Kamen raised his gun and pulled the trigger. Bang! In a critical situation, Jia-jun dodged the bullet by leaning sideways. Seeing that Ikki Kamen was about to fire another shot, Junimaya quickly took out his energy blaster, aimed at Ikki Kamen, and fired a shot. Boom! The blue light that was ejected instantly blasted out the dark energy in Ikki Kamen's body. Where is this? Gumin touched his swollen head and looked around blankly. When he saw Jia-jun in front of him, he was surprised and said, Mr. Jia-jun, why are you here? Jia-jun explained. You were just attacked by the dark aura. I helped you solve it. Next time you carry out mission, you must be more careful. Post views. 36. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 105-105. Lizzie's death. What do you regard life as? In the light curtain, just at this moment, one wave of troubles has not yet subsided when another wave of troubles arises. A figure walked out from the depths of the jungle. It was Sadariko. Ikikamen was shocked. Lizzie, why are you here, and why did the painting in your room become like that? Lizzie did not answer Ikikamen's question, but walked slowly to his side and spoke word by word. Hey, Hui-jun, do you know my family and I were killed because of you? All the tragedies I have encountered are because of you. Kamen Ikki. Is this going to crush Ikikamen's heart? In the Infinite City, Wu watched this scene with a sad smile. It was really murderous. If Ikikamen really collapsed because of these words, it would be interesting. The world of others, oh my god. Not only did she kill the person and turn him into a puppet, but now she is even using his body to mess with his boyfriend's mentality. This Galumu 003 suggests that he be put to death by slow slicing. Zhang Chulan was almost numb by Galumu's series of actions. This is a real bad guy. Seconded, X2 Su San and Su Si also nodded, and even thought that Ling Chi was a little too light. The next second, Lizzie's face suddenly began to flicker and turned into Dark Faust. Seeing this, Ji Yajun on the side immediately transformed into Nexus. Just like that, Dark Faust and Nexus appeared at the same time. The two sides were on edge, and without too many words, they fought together. As usual, after a few rounds, Nexus deployed the Meta Realm. Then Dark Faust summoned endless darkness to devour all the light in Meta's realm, turning it into a dark realm. The two men punched at the same time, both hitting the other's head. Sparks flash. Star splash. It's just that Dark Faust power seems to have been enhanced, surpassing the past. And he punched Nexus into the sky. Nexus adjusted his posture in the air, took advantage of gravity, flew down, and kicked out, but unexpectedly, Dark Faust easily caught the blow, and with both hands he tied up Nexus. Strong dark energy continued to flow out of Dark Faust's body and attacked Nexus. Nexus struggled hard, but it was useless, and he could only take the blow. Doraemon Universe. 22nd century. It's over. It seems that Nexus is at a disadvantage. Sharpshooter looked at the screen with a heavy face. His mood had sunk to the bottom. Doraemon nodded and said solemnly, "The strength of Dark Faust seems to have improved a lot. Even if you just look at it, you can feel that the strength and speed have become much stronger. In addition, Mr. Ji Shizhuan is still injured. This is not good." Sharpshooter speculated. "Do you think that Gozo Lumu has already felt that Miss Lizzie is useless, so he squeezed her body for the last time? Otherwise, the strength of Dark Faust would not have increased so much. It feels like this, that Goromu has done all kinds of bad things." Looking at his unrecognizable girlfriend, Ikikamen was heartbroken. He couldn't help but recall the happy times he had with his girlfriend in the past, but he knew all this can never come back. Gumin hardened his heart and pointed his gun at Dark Faust, his former lover. Then, he pulled the trigger, and the bullet hit Dark Faust in the face. The latter stopped moving immediately and was stunned. Lonely man, Dark Faust looked at Ikikamen and said softly on the other side. Goromu Shinya, who was hiding in the dark, summoned a strange beast to join the battle. On the battlefield, a purple light filled with evil aura illuminated the earth. After the purple light faded, a 100-meter tall alien beast suddenly appeared. This giant alien beast is called Northfield, and it is the culprit who killed Lizzie's family. Damn it, I didn't expect that this Goromu could actually summon alien beasts. Could it be that all the alien beasts before were created by him? Duan Muyin clenched his fists, and his knuckles were creaking. Compared with the alien beasts in the picture, he suddenly felt that Oxer in their world was nothing. After all, Oxer was not so powerful. Alpaca. This Goroki makes me so angry. And he even specially summoned the monster that killed Miss Lizzie's family. It's so insulting. Even though Pineapple Blowing Snow was just watching, he felt the blood boiling in his body and was very angry. The same was true for Orange Liuxiong. Damn it, Nexus's condition is not very good, and he has to face Dark Faust and the monster at the same time, and there is no guarantee that Goroki will summon another monster later. The chances of winning are bleak, but at this moment, Nexus knelt on the ground, the indicator light on his chest flashing red. He was no longer able to fight. At Goroma's command, Northfield fired a purple laser from his mouth towards Gyumin. Ikki Kamen knew he was powerless to resist and closed his eyes in despair. After the violent shock, Gyumin found himself safe and sound. When he opened his eyes, he found that Dark Faust, no, it was Saitara Riko who stood in front of him and blocked the fatal blow for him. At this moment, she is not the Dark Faust, nor the puppet made by Goroki, but Ikki Kamen's lover, Saitara Riko. Next second, Northfield kicked the seriously injured Dark Faust aside. However, this also bought time for Nexus. Nexus gathered the last bit of energy in his body and launched an energy storm towards Northfield. With a burst of explosions, Northfield was reduced to fragments. After the dust settles, Lizzie fell into Gyumin's arms, like a flower about to wither. After a long time, my soul and body belong to me, and I am no longer a puppet of Goroki. Then, under Ikki Kamen's sad eyes, she slowly spoke. Kukuin, I'm so happy to meet you. I have never blamed you, but I don't have much time left. You must take good care of yourself in the future, okay? Lizzie's tone was still as gentle as before, as if nothing had changed. Ikki Kamen nodded vigorously, tears welling up in his eyes. Huijun, sorry. Lizzie still has a lot to say to Ikki Kamen, but the remaining time only allows her to say sorry. Next second, she turned into starlight and disappeared in the arms of Gyumin. From beginning to end, Lizzie had the same warm smile on her face as when she first met Gyumin. At this point, Saitara Riko finally ended her life. A world captured by food. Aru, who was about to participate in the food competition, was enjoying his breakfast, but halfway through, he seemed to be infected by the sad atmosphere in the video, and he felt that he had no appetite. But at the same time, this strengthened his determination to become stronger. Because only by becoming stronger can you protect the people who are important to you. Demon Slayer World. In the Pure Land. Sugumi Yuichiro stared at the screen and saw the scene where Riko finally disappeared in Kamen's arms. He tightly grasped the hilt of the knife, took a deep breath, and said word by word, Goroki, what do you think of life? In the winning team, Lena sniffled and sobbed with red eyes. Ms. Lizzie, you are such a pitiful person. In the end, she couldn't be with Ikki Kamen. Daigo looked at this scene, and suddenly his heart was warmed up, and he held Lena's hand. This made Lena a little at a loss. In fact, not only Lena, but Daigo was also a little confused. He secretly regretted that he had made such a rude move to Miss Lena. This time, he was afraid that Miss Lena would make him hate her. But what Daigo didn't expect was that Lena didn't pull her hand back, but just lowered her head with a red face and looked at her toes. This made Daigo overjoyed. Outside the video, at Lizzie's home. Seeing this scene, Ikki Kamen hugged his girlfriend beside him. He was a little scared, afraid that Lizzie would leave him like in the video. But fortunately, at this moment Lizzie had not been transformed into a doll by Goroki. This means that the tragedy has not happened yet, and Ikki Kamen still has a chance. And this time, Ikki Kamen vowed to protect his beloved girlfriend, even at the cost of his life. Post views 27. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 106-106. Dark Mephisto appears in the light curtain after Lizzie's death. Ikki Kamen, who was devastated, decided to temporarily leave the night raid team. The day Gyumin came to the park he used to go to with Lizzie. At this moment, he vaguely saw Lizzie's figure, and Gyumin chased after her like crazy. But in a forest, he met Goroki Shinya. You bastard. Facing the culprit who killed Lizzie, Gyumin was furious and rushed forward, punching Goromu in the face. But Gyumin was no match for Goromu. After a few rounds, he was knocked down and couldn't get up again. Oh, Goromu sneered, and then a ray of white light shot out from his eyes, leading Gyumin into the realm he had carefully designed. In the fantasy, Gyumin once again saw the scene where Lizzie died in his arms, saw the scene where Lizzie brought him home and introduced him to her parents, and also saw the scene where everyone in the night raid team laughed at his incompetence. These scenes undoubtedly hurt his heart. Just like that, Kamen was about to be completely swallowed up by the darkness released by Goroki. At the critical moment, Nexus suddenly appeared in the illusion and dispelled the darkness in the body of Solitary Gate 02. Ji Shizhuan always comes just in time. In the alien world, Zhang Chulan couldn't help but sigh. If it weren't for Ji Shizhuan, I'm afraid this Gumen Yihui would have turned evil long ago. Su Si flicked his hair and said, I can understand Gumen Yihui's feelings. He sees the murderer who killed his girlfriend right in front of him, but he can't beat him. Who can bear this? Seeing his plan disrupted, Goromu could no longer sit still and immediately took action to fight Nexus. The two began to fight. Light and darkness took turns to gain the upper hand, but it was difficult to determine the winner. After a while, Goroki chose to give up and disappeared into the illusion under a strange light. Back in the real world, Ikki Kamen found that Nagi Nishijo was standing in front of him without him noticing. Bang! Before he could speak, Seijo Nagi slapped Kamen without saying a word. This slap completely woke up the confused Gumen. Then Nishijo Nagi said, For the sake of the ones you love, you should turn your grief into strength and keep moving forward instead of falling into depravity. After saying that, she extended a hand towards Gumen. Get up. It's almost time to rest. It's time to go back to the night raid team. There are still many tasks to do. Gumen was stunned at first, then nodded vigorously. At this moment, his eyes were much more determined than before. Zombie World Hiss by Xiaofei took a breath and said, This slap looks painful, but fortunately it woke up this Gumen Yihui. Well, it seems that this Nishijo Nagi actually has a good side. After hearing what Nishijo Nagi said, everyone's eyes lit up and they felt that it made sense. At the same time, I also had a slightly changed opinion of Nishijo Nagi. After all, Nishijo Nagi didn't leave a very good impression on everyone. Arrogant, cold, and unkind, this was basically the first impression that other people had of Nishijo Nagi. Moreover, she seemed to have a grudge against Himishi's Hun, repeatedly shooting him in the back when Nexus was fighting the alien beasts. Furthermore, Nishijo Nagi seemed to have a very deep hatred for the alien beasts, and she didn't just fight against the alien beasts because of her identity as a night raider to protect the Earth. Instead, it seemed that she had some kind of grudge against the alien beasts, and she came just to kill them. I didn't expect that this deputy captain could be reliable sometimes. This slap was really loud. It seems that he didn't hold back at all. If I hold back, I might not be able to wake up Ikki Kamen. Honestly, I'd actually like to see what Ikki Kamen looks like after he turns evil, and whether he can beat Goroki. Isn't it said that he's 10 times stronger when he turns evil, and 3 times weaker when he turns white? The images on the screen continue to play. On the first day that Ikki Kamen returned to the night raid team, he received an emergency mission. A family of 4 was attacked by a strange beast, which was surprisingly similar to what happened to Lizzie's family. But the difference was that the strange beast only killed the parents and kidnapped the remaining 2 children. The first mission of the night raid team is to destroy the alien beast and, if conditions permit, rescue the 2 captured children. Gumin and others drove fighter planes to the scene. Quickly, in a strange villa, a man and a woman were chewing wood, making a crackling noise, and countless wood chips scattered all over the ground. The strangest thing is that these 2 people look very happy, as if they are not chewing wood, but some delicious food. Behind them, 2 children who looked only 6 or 7 years old were staring blankly. They really didn't understand why their parents were so happy eating wood. After eating the wood, the 2 men went crazy and even forced their children to eat the wood like them. This frightened the 2 children, and they all hid in the corner, trembling. The Kingdom of Mermaids, huh? Sophia's eyes widened. It was the first time she had seen people eating wood. Little Harry, why do you think they are eating wood? Is it delicious? Little Harry was embarrassed. It seemed that the princess herself was a little silly. Princess, how could someone eat wood and eat it so happily? It's obvious that he is controlled by something weird. Little Harry explained. Is that so? Seeing how delicious they are eating, I was wondering what kind of wood they are eating. Sophia tapped her chin with her fair little hand and nodded thoughtfully. Oh shit, this must be pica. Even chewing a rotten piece of what can taste so delicious. Huolin Fei was so shocked. If he didn't know, he would have thought he was eating some delicious food. But the result, it was a rotten piece of wood, which was too creepy. Meow, Xiaozhi complained. The teeth of these 2 people are too good. They can even chew wood. Are you sure they're not moles? At this moment, Icky Common broke indirectly. He raised the energy gun in his hand and pointed it at one of them. Seeing that the situation was not good, the two men immediately pulled their children over and held one in front of them as hostages. This made Gyumin feel a little tricky. Shooting now would undoubtedly injure the two children by mistake, which he did not want to see. And weren't these two people killed by the alien beasts? Why are they here? There was no other way. Gyumin could only watch them flee into the forest with their two children. Gyumin followed all the way and finally found a flaw and immediately opened fire, but the mother of the two children, 557, just blocked the attack lightly. Next second, her right hand turned into a ferocious red claw. The red claw grabbed Gyumin fiercely, catching him off guard, and Gyumin was instantly knocked out and hit a big tree, taking advantage of the gap. She and the father of two children sneaked deeper into the forest with their children. Gyumin stood up with difficulty and wanted to continue chasing at this time. Nishijo Nagi arrived, but she didn't come to support Gyumin, but to tell Gyumin that there was a more important task to be completed. That is to kill the alien beast. Although Gyumin was very worried about the safety of the two children, he knew that the mission was more important than anything else. So he gritted his teeth and left the forest with Nishijo Nagi. The other side, Jiajun ran wildly in the forest. He wanted to rescue the two children who were captured, however. By chance, he met Goroki in the forest. As the saying goes, when two people meet on a narrow road, the bravest one wins. As soon as the two met, they started fighting immediately without much words. Both sides used weapons to test each other for several rounds. After a while, Jiajun directly took out the trust evolver and transformed into Nexus in the brilliant light. Garoma saw this scene and smiled coldly. Then, he took out a pitch-black transformation device from his arms, grabbed the handle with both hands, and pulled it outward with force. Next moment, the transformation device released a purple magic light that covered Goroki's entire body. In the darkness, a black giant suddenly appeared. This is the Dark Giant. Mephisto. Post views. 32. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 107-107. Ji Shizhuan's past. Gyumin once again doubts his life armor Hero 1 world. Meijin was also surprised, but soon calmed down. That's right, since Miss Lizzie can become Dark Faust, then it's not surprising that this Goromu can become a Dark Giant. Shinon shook his head. This Dark Mephisto is much stronger than Dark Faust. I wonder if Ji Shizhuan can be his opponent. I'm talking about Meijin. Dongshan suddenly remembered something, glanced at Meijin beside him, and joked. I remember you said at the beginning that the strength of the alien beasts and the psychic beasts is similar. Hearing this, Meijin's face suddenly blushed. It seemed that she really said so. But from now on, what do you mean by similar? They are not at the same level at all. All the psychic beasts they have encountered so far may not be able to be crushed by the alien beasts. In a light curtain, Dark Mephisto and Nexus confronted each other, and the next moment, they started fighting. Obviously, although Mephistopheles and Faust are both dark giants, Mephistopheles is much stronger than Faust. This put Nexus, whose strength was equal to Faust's, at a clear disadvantage. In just a few rounds, Mephisto pressed him to the ground and started rubbing him. Mephisto punched Nexus hard and knocked him to the ground. Next, he summoned the alien beast Northfield, and he himself disappeared. Oh my god, what's the point of fighting? This Goroki is ridiculously strong. Not only is the giant, he turns into a strong one, but he can also summon alien beasts. There is no way to fight him. Zhang Chulan was dumbfounded. At present, he really didn't know what Ji Shizhuan should use to fight against Gulumu. He is not only a warrior, but also a summoner. He is simply invincible. Northfield broke out of the ground, causing a violent shock. This shocked Nexus greatly. He remembered that Northfield was blown into pieces by him last time. How come he was resurrected now? At this moment, the parents also brought their daughter to the scene. Northfield shot out a purple light and sucked the girl into his brow. With such a hostage, Nexus suddenly had no idea where to start. Just when Nexus didn't know what to do, all the members of the night raid team arrived at the scene. Looking at the wanton destruction of Northfield, The Night Raiders hovering above quickly made up their minds. They will use the latest weapons to attack Northfield. The task of firing was given to Ikikamen. Gumin looked at Northfield, the anger in his heart burning like a raging fire. He wanted to crush this alien beast that killed his girlfriend's family to ashes. Without any hesitation, he aimed the gun at Northfield and then pressed the two super powerful blue lasers. He shot out from the muzzle and hit Northfield. The latter fell to the ground, exploding with brilliant flames, and in the solemn eyes of Gumin, it once again became scattered flowers. Doraemon Universe. Seeing Gumin just open fire like this, Nobita and the others all widened their eyes and opened their mouths, shocked. After a long time, Fat Tiger came back to his senses and clenched his fists. Hey, what a joke. Just open fire like this. There's a little girl between the eyebrows of the alien beast. Damn it. What on earth did this Ko-Iki do? Doraemon sighed and shook his head slightly. This can't be blamed on Mr. Come on. After all, he didn't know that the alien beast took the little girl hostage. How so? Nobita stared at this scene blankly. His face turned pale and bloodless. Oh no. With such a big explosion, the little girl's ashes might have been blown away. It's really funny. Fei Duan held up the bloody sickle, with a crazy and ferocious smile on his face. He didn't feel any pity for the scene in the picture. He just watched it for fun. This guy behind him, Conan, looked at Haydn, who was still laughing, feeling a little angry. She was not as indifferent to life as other members of the Akatsuki organization, but she still couldn't bear to see this. On Hyoga, Kara's eyes showed a look of heartache. Hey, such a lovely girl. Things turn out like this. In the light curtain, looking at the alien beast that was blown into dust, Gumin showed a long-lost smile. Lizzie, I finally avenged you. This was a victory worth celebrating. But afterwards, Gumin discovered that there was a little girl hidden in the body of the alien beast. The girl was seriously injured as a result of the explosion. What? It turns out he's not dead yet. Fadewan curled his lips. He was so happy just now. It was such a bummer. At Nobita's home, Nobita breathed a sigh of relief and patted his chest. That's great. He's still alive. Looking at the girl lying in the ambulance, Gumin's face was full of self-blame. All of a sudden, the excitement of killing the alien beast disappeared. Ikikamen once again fell into self-doubt seeing Gumin's distress. Ji Yajun walked up to him, sat down beside him, and then slowly told his story under Gumin's puzzled gaze. He was a war correspondent, specializes in filming real war scenes. To make profits, this is a job that is like licking blood on the edge of a knife. Not to mention getting injured. Even death is not surprising. Once he was seriously injured in a war. Fortunately, he also met a girl named Sarah. Under Sarah's careful care, his condition is getting better day by day. The two were as close as brothers and sisters and spent a short, happy time together. This is also the most unforgettable time in Ji Yajun's life. Suddenly one day, the war broke out again. As a war correspondent, he naturally would not miss this opportunity. Regardless of Sarah's request to stay, Ji Yajun resolutely rushed into the battlefield. This choice also cost him the heavy price of losing Sarah. He still remembers the scene of Sarah being engulfed in flames. This is the shadow that will never go away in his life. I never thought that Mr. Ji Shizhuan had such a past. This is probably his inner demon. So sad, I feel like Gumin is wavering. He was so determined before, but now he is withdrawing again. After all, it was his fault that an innocent little girl was seriously injured. Any person with a conscience would do the same. This is war. Human life is worthless. People are dying every minute. It's so sad. Humph. The fundamental problem is that he is too weak. If he had the power of Nexus, Sarah would not have died. It's easy to say, the world is still dominated by ordinary people. Ji Shizhuan's experience made everyone in the world sigh. However, everyone has different ideas. Some people think that the reason for everything is that Ji Shizhuan's strength is not enough and he failed to protect Sarah. But most people have conscience in their hearts, sigh, and look at Ji Shizhuan in the picture with sympathy. From this point of view, the reason why Ji Shizhuan fought so hard was probably to make up for the debt and guilt in his heart towards Sarah. In the world of bears, By the way, Xiongda, what does this war correspond to mean? Xiong Air touched his head, looked at Xiongda beside him in confusion, and said this. Xiongda thought for a while, and finally punched Xiong Air in frustration. Don't ask me everything. You should learn to think for yourself. Ouch. Xiong Air touched his head and pursed his lips in grievance. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Why do you have to hit people? No, hit the bear. Post views. 31. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 108-108. False illusion, quarrel among all the heavens and worlds. In the light curtain, he regretted countless times. If he had listened to Sarah, Sarah might not have left him. But there is no if in life. No matter how much he regrets, the ending will not change. After losing Sarah, Junimaya could always vaguely see Sarah in his dreams every night. Finally, one time, under Sarah's guidance, he entered an ancient ruin. There, he met Nexus for the first time, and eventually became Nexus's adapter. This is him, the story of Junimaya, the world of giants. Alan looked at Junimaya's memories in the video, and his heart was moved. It was because Junimaya's past was so similar to his. Many times when he couldn't sleep late at night, he could always recall the scene when his mother was swallowed by a giant in front of him. That was the haze of his life. Unexpectedly, Mr. Junimaya had the same experience as him, but this also gave him the motivation to move forward. Alan swore that he would become a strong man like Junimaya in the future to protect his loved ones from harm. In the world of One Piece on the Thousand Sunny, at this moment, the ship no longer had the previous joyful atmosphere. All the crew members, including Luffy, lowered their heads and fell into deep thought. In fact, every crew member has a memory hidden in the deepest part of their hearts. So when they saw Junimaya's past, they had 157 resonant feelings in their hearts. The world of Tiga. In the victory team, it turns out that this is how Mr. Ji Shizhuan obtained the power of Nexus. It seems that he was chosen by Nexus. Dagus Sigit. He is very similar to Ji Shizhuan. He also got the Godlight Rod and the power of Tiga by chance. Of course, he will also shoulder this responsibility and protect the Earth at the risk of his life. The picture on the light screen continued to play. Himaya Jun said this to tell Ikki Kamen that everyone has indelible regrets, and it is those regrets that motivate us to move forward. After saying that, Ji Yajun left on his own. Ikki Kamen was left alone, stunned where he was. But what Himaya Jun didn't know was that the shadow in Kamen's heart was still taking root. Then, there was another emergency mission, and the resurrected Northfield attacked a factory. By the time the night raid team arrived, there was no sign of life in the factory. Apparently, Northfield ate all of them. This mission was more difficult than before because of the thick fog in the factory. In such an environment, it was difficult to kill or even aim. Fortunately, the captain, Heatsong, Akf, was experienced and relied on the terrain and the alien beast to constantly maneuver and finally won a chance for Kamen to aim. Kamen pointed his gun at the alien beast, but did not fire. He thought of the little girl who was accidentally injured by him. Just because of his mistake, a girl almost lost her life. So, Ikki Kamen hesitated. The opportunity was fleeting, and he missed this hard-won chance. Gumen looked at the fleeing alien beast and froze in place. At this moment, he was sweating profusely and had completely lost his fighting spirit. After failing this mission, Gumen chose a move that only a coward would make. That's escape. He sneaked out of the TLT base, took off his combat uniform, and walked alone on the road. Fate World, where he saw Ikki Kamen, chose to escape. Gilgamesh's mouth curled slightly, his face full of disdain. He actually chose to escape. He is truly a weakling. This king despises such miscellaneous cultivators. Seer World bastard. Achida clenched his fists tightly, looking at Ikki Kamen on the screen with a look of disappointment. What on earth is this guy thinking? He chooses to escape just because of one mistake? Mr. Ji Shizhuan is always injured in battles. He despises this kind of guy who escapes when he encounters a little setback. He is just a weakling who can't stand being beaten. Xiaozhi shook his head. It's time to let Ikki Kamen calm down. Maybe his mentality will improve. Humph! Atieda snorted coldly. I don't think so. Their vice captain and Mr. Ji Shizhuan had persuaded him before, but the result was still the same. Alien world. Could it be that this human Ihui has gone crazy? Zhang Chulan complained the TLT troops are omnipresent. Ikki Kamen now holds a lot of secrets. TLT will never let Ikki Kamen escape from their control. In this way, Gumin soon encountered TLT's arrest by chance. He met Goroki Shinya again. Just as Gumin was about to make a move, he unexpectedly said directly, I can let you see Saida Riko again. Hearing this, Ikki Kamen was stunned. Goroki snapped his fingers, and a door suddenly appeared in front of Gumin. The next moment, the door opened. Standing behind the door is Lizzie. Lizzie's smile was still as gentle as before. She waved to Gumin and asked him to come in, like a tempting demon. Gumin walked slowly into the door, as if possessed, and hugged Lizzie. This feeling of happiness made him sink. At this moment, he wanted to stay here forever and live with Lizzie. Outside the door, Ji Yajun followed the signal of the trusted evolver and rushed here. Seeing this scene, he rushed up to stop Gumin. But Garoma didn't give him a chance, and the two soon started fighting. This is the illusion that Garomu carefully prepared for Kamen. Once he falls into the trap, he will be with Lizzie in the illusion for the rest of his life. In a sense, this is indeed the relief that Gumin has always dreamed of. But Ji Yajun would never allow it, because the meaning of life has never been to dwell on the past, but to look to the future. Next second, he took out his energy gun and confronted Goroki with it. The huge energy produced a dazzling white light. In the fantasy, Kamen is still chatting with Lizzie about the daily necessities of life, which is indeed the life he longs for. This scene makes the audience outside the screen anxious. This is obviously a trap set by Goroki, who wants to make Kamen Ikki fall into this illusion and cannot extricate himself. Ikki Kamen, wake up. These are all illusions. They are all fake. You can't let Mr. Himaya Jun fight alone. Wake up. Mr. Himaya Jun needs you. I'm afraid Lizzie doesn't want to see you like this. Hey, this is obviously all fake. People can't just live in the past. They have to look to the future. In fact, I think it's not bad to live in a fantasy world like this. I have a beloved girlfriend and a happy life. What else can I not be satisfied with? But all this is fake. Miss Lizzie is dead, but she is alive in this world, and she needs to learn to adapt. She should treat this fantasy world as the real world and regard what happened before as a dream. You are deceiving yourself, bastard. For a moment, the audiences from all over the world had a big argument about whether to leave or not. Some people thought that the scenes in the illusion were all fake. No matter how beautiful they were still cold fantasies. But some people thought that as long as they lived in the illusion, what did it matter whether it was true or false? Anyway, it was so hard outside, and sinking into the illusion might be a good thing. Post views. 34. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are num chapter 109-109. Hell, difficulty copy. The new generation is broken in the light curtain in the fantasy, just as Ikki was gradually sinking. He suddenly saw the pendant on Lizzie's chest. Looking at it, Ikki remembered what Lizzie said to him before she died. He suddenly realized that Lizzie was dead and would never come back. Next second, his eyes became as hard as iron. As Gumin's mind returned, the illusion was broken. Gumin returned to the real world, safely Doraemon universe. Nobita's house, very good. Fat Tiger nodded with satisfaction. It seems that this Ikki is not hopeless. He can escape from the illusion by himself. I am really surprised, Xiaofu whispered. In fact, I think there is nothing wrong with staying in the illusion for a lifetime. But Fat Tiger still heard it, and he immediately glared at Sunio. Sunio, how can you think like that? Doraemon also agreed. That's right. Illusion is illusion. No matter how beautiful it is just fake after all. Besides, the other members of the Night Raid also need Ikki. Nobita chuckled. Anyway, the ending is good after all. That's enough. However, one wave of troubles has not yet subsided when another wave of troubles arises. the alien beast Northfield suddenly appeared. The members of the night attack team who came to it used all their ammunition on it, but they couldn't even break Northfield's defense. In a critical moment, June transforms into Nexus to fight, but Northfield's fighting power was so terrible that Nexus had no power to fight back and was quickly defeated. Seeing Northfield reappear, Alice's face was filled with shock. She clearly remembered that Northfield should have been blown into pieces by Gumin's cannon, but now it appeared in the picture intact. Oh my god! Alice held her head tightly. What is going on? Could this guy be resurrected again and again? Instantly, even Alice, who was watching the video, couldn't help but feel a little desperate. Not only was he powerful, but he could also be resurrected. How could Nexus fight him? Seeing this scene, Gumin on the ground was extremely anxious. The researchers of the night raid team nearby have figured out why Northfield can be resurrected continuously. It turns out that a regeneration system is installed in Northfield's mouth. If the regeneration system is not destroyed, Northfield will be resurrected infinitely. At this time, the captain and Song Ingfu handed the gun in their hands to Gumin. The power of this gun was enough to destroy Northfield's regeneration system. He nodded to Gumin, his eyes full of trust. Gumin was stunned, then slowly took the gun from his hand. The other side Nexus also seized the opportunity and pried open Northfield's big mouth. Gumin held the energy gun and pointed it at the mouth of the alien beast. At this moment, his eyes were no longer confused, but determined. This time, he chose to face his fear. The next moment, he pressed the trigger decisively. Boom! The energy beam that was ejected destroyed Northfield's regeneration system in one blow, causing its combat effectiveness to be greatly reduced. Nexus took advantage of the victory and instantly transformed into a young man, beating up Northfield. Finally, he used the cascading storm to completely destroy Northfield. Nexus looked at Gumin on the ground and nodded to him. Tears welled up in Gumin's eyes. He finally defeated his inner demons. Digimon World 5 yay! This guy has finally been dealt with. It's really frustrating to have him resurrect all the time. Damon said with his hands on his hips. He thought that this Northfield could be resurrected all the time, but it turns out that he was just installed with a regeneration system. Brother, do you think we can beat this Northfield? Agumon waved his claws and looked at his brother curiously. This Daimon rubbed his chin for a while and said, "It feels a little uncertain now, but if you continue to evolve, it should be possible, and you can even fight that Nexus. But, in fact, I also want to fight with that Nexus. I'm really curious about what it would feel like to punch him." After hearing what Daimon said, Fujita Shuno was speechless. Is fighting the only thing on this guy's mind? Don't be too happy too soon, Thomas said calmly. This Northfield is just a small soldier of Goromu. The most important enemy at the moment is still Goromu. The screen is still playing. Although Northfield has been eliminated, the crisis has not been resolved. 3 days later, the TLT department detected the vibration waves coming from the forest. The night raid team was fully armed and took action immediately. As soon as he reached the designated location, Ikki felt as if the ground was shaking. Zoom in, it is a strange-looking creature with 3 heads on its body. The earth shook because of his trampling. The other side, Ji Yajun, came to the scene as usual, looking at the huge alien beast. Ji Yajun's eyes rarely showed shock. He recognized this alien beast. This alien beast is a 3-headed hellhound named Gruberos. It is the first alien beast he encountered after becoming Nexus. He clearly remembered that he had killed the 3-headed hellhound to death, but why did it appear here again at this moment? At this moment, the night raid team's artillery fire bombarded Gruberos, and the strong flames flickered in the darkness. But in the billowing smoke, Gruberos, which should have been blown into powder, returned to its original state. At this time, Goroki suddenly appeared in front of June and explained, frowny face, "It's useless. Gruberos is immortal. No attack can kill him. Just give up. Zero, please give me flowers." Zero, upon hearing this, Ji Yajun said in a deep voice, "So what if it is immortal? Even if it is resurrected 10,000 times, I will kill it 10,001 times." The next moment, he resolutely raised the transformer and transformed into Nexus in the light. He threw a heavy punch at Guruburos, and under the terrifying power of Nexus, the three-headed hellhound was knocked down instantly. Guruburos got up and fired 6 golden lasers at Nexus. Nexus's hands shone brightly, easily defusing the attack. Then he changed into a youth, raised his arms, and led Garberos into Meta's territory. However, it is not only Nexus and alien beasts that enter Meta's territory, but also the new fighter planes of the Night Raid team. They are here to help Nexus and destroy this alien beast. In the field, Nexus and Guruburos were fighting fiercely, and the artillery fire from the sky hit Guruburos accurately. Beat it until it cries in the cockpit. Gu Min was about to launch the final attack to end the battle. But the moment he pressed the launch button, the three-headed dog's eyes suddenly lit up red. Gu Min was confused by this look and fired a missile that almost hit Nexus. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the three-headed hellhound grabbed Nexus and bit his arm. "Hello, what on earth is this icky common doing?" The missile is about to hit Nexus. Atita frowned slightly, strongly condemning Icky Common's behavior of hitting his teammates. Such a long time has passed, and he can still do such a thing. Xiaozhi interrupted and said, "Calm down, Atita. Look carefully." The eyes of the three-headed dog suddenly turned red. "If I guess correctly, Icky Common's spirit should be affected." "That's right." Calula nodded. What Xiaozhi said was what she wanted to say. She looked at Atieta and said, "You guys must stay calm when you encounter things in the future, so as not to be led astray." At the same time, many new generation Ultra Warriors were watching this scene. They only felt shocked. It seemed that the strength of each of the alien beasts that Nexus fought should not be underestimated. It was simply terrifying. And, after watching for so long, they found that Ji Shizhuan seemed to have almost no time to rest. He was either fighting or on the way to fight. After defeating one alien beast, another one immediately followed, leaving him no time to breathe. The long battle, coupled with the gradually aggravated injuries on his body. How difficult it was for Nexus to fight. Compared with him, the new generation felt that protecting the Earth seemed a little too easy. They were not as depressed, desperate, and painful as Nexus. Post views 34. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 110-110. Terrible scars. This is a real man. Goroki was stabbed in the back in the light curtain. The bite force of the three-headed dog of hell was so strong that visible bite marks instantly appeared on Nexus' arm. Nexus couldn't help but scream in pain. He waved his arms vigorously, but he couldn't get rid of this stinky mouth. Fortunately, Gu Min on the side recovered quickly and fired another missile at the three-headed dog of hell. This time there was no accident, and the missile hit its head accurately, causing a huge explosion. The three-headed hellhound, in pain, finally loosened its mouth on Nexus' arm. Seeing this, everyone in the heavens and the worlds did not dare to breathe. The bite marks on Nexus's hand were so shocking that everyone's heart was lifted. Orb World. Honkai smacked his lips and looked at the wound on Nexus' arm. He actually felt a little pain. As an orb, he certainly knew the physical strength of Ultraman, but even so, he was still hurt so much. The strength of that three-headed dog is really terrifying. Nexus did a backflip to create some distance to prevent being bitten again, then put his hands together, intending to use the crossbeam to end the battle. 167. But at this moment, Dark Mephisto suddenly appeared and blocked the attack for the three-headed dog of hell. Then he left a deep look in his eyes and disappeared into the meta realm with Guruburos. Mission completed successfully, but the atmosphere in the Night Raid team was a little weird because they just received a notice the current vice captain of the Night Raid team, Nagi Nishijo, has disappeared. And according to her superiors, if she did not return to the team within 24 hours, she would be convicted of desertion. At that time, the memory will be forcibly cleared. Suddenly the scene switched to a car running fast. The car finally stopped in front of an abandoned factory. The door opened and a figure got out of the car. It was Nishijo Nagi. She looked at the factory with a complicated expression, then walked in. As soon as she stepped through the door, she saw a very familiar person, Goroki Shinya. The two looked at each other, and the bond they had before was still fresh in their minds. They trained together, killed enemies together, talked together, and the two of them hardly spoke to each other. They were close partners and had an inexplicable relationship. But all of this is over. In an instant, the world was in uproar. They didn't expect that Zijo Nagi and Goroki would have such a relationship. Super Beast Armed World. Huolin Fei opened his mouth and felt his whole face was a little numb. He pointed at Zijo Nagi with a complicated face in the picture and said in surprise, "I never thought that Nishijo Nagi actually has someone she likes. And it turns out to be this guy Goroki." After all, Nishijo Nagi always has a cold expression every time she appears, and she looks like someone who is not easy to get along with. That's why Huolin Fei was so shocked, because Nishijo Nagi doesn't look like she has someone she likes. Tianyu, who was standing next to her, thought for a while, no wonder Nishijo Nagi reacted so strongly after seeing Goroki's token at the beginning. It turns out there is such a relationship between them. Superman World. No way. Could it be that this Nishijo Nagi wants to collude with Mizuroki and betray the Night Raid team? Happy Superman frowned and guessed, "I don't think Vice Captain Nishijo would agree." Dr. Zhai shook his head and explained, "She seems to have a strong hatred for the monsters, and she certainly can't accept that Goroki controls the monsters to do evil and harm the people. And although she is a little cold, she is very clear-headed. She doesn't look like the type who would give up everything for the one she loves. Moreover, from their memories, they just have feelings for each other and even confessed each other." Sweetheart Superman nodded and said with a smile, "You are worthy of being a doctor. You are so smart." Flowerheart Superman didn't care much. He just fiddled with his hair in front of the mirror. "What kind of eyes? That Goroki is far inferior to me. If it were me, that Nishijo Nagi would definitely be so fascinated by me that she would lose her way." The picture on the screen continued to play. "Tell me, what's the matter that brought me here?" Nishijo Nagi looked at Mizuroki and said coldly. Mizuroki seemed to have anticipated Nishijo Nagi's attitude towards him, and he just smiled and said, "Then I'll make it short. Nishijo Nagi, join me." "Join you?" Nishijo Nagi frowned. "Yes, the only person in this world who can understand me is you. Quit the Night Raid team and join me." Goroki couldn't help but raise his voice a moment under Goroki's sincere gaze. Nishijo Nagi was somewhat shaken. But at this moment, Kamen and Wakura Isuke arrived in time and interrupted Seijo Nagi's thoughts. When he saw Goroki for the first time, Kamen did not hesitate and immediately pulled the trigger. Bang! An energy shield suddenly formed in front of Goromu, blocking the bullet. Goromu sneered, "What a trifle." As he said that, he wanted to take Nishijo Nagi away. Gumin watched this scene, feeling extremely anxious, but he was powerless to do anything. Fortunately, at this time, Jiajun suddenly appeared. His eyes were stern, and he said in a deep voice, "Gurumi, I will never allow you to trample on other people's hearts at will." Then he took out the energy blaster from his arms, pointed it at Goroki, and pretended to attack. However, the next second Goroki took the initiative and opened the Dark Realm with a wave of his hand. The three-headed dog of hell, Gruberos, also appeared in the Dark Realm. Ji Yajun looked at him coldly, then raised the Evolution Thruster and transformed into Nexus. Nexus rushed forward and kicked the head in the middle of the three-headed hellhound. The three-headed dog of hell was severely injured and fell to the ground with its limbs facing the sky. Nexus then transformed into a young man, wanting to take advantage of the victory and put an end to this undead monster. But at the same time, Garabello's eyes turned red again. Seeing this scene, Ikki Kamen felt something was wrong. He had personally experienced the power of the red eyes. Sure enough, the next second Nexus's wound from the three-headed dog of hell recurred, and a terrible high temperature was emitted. Under great pain, Nexus covered his injured arm and fell to the ground. Alien world, oh my god. Through Nexus, Zhang Chulan could clearly feel Ji Shizhuan's pain. He couldn't help but pursed his lips. It seems that becoming a Nexus adapter is not just ordinary hardship. It hurts just to see it. Ji Shizhuan now had another wound, and it was not light. He probably hadn't recovered from his previous injuries yet. If he continued like this, even if Ji Shizhuan was an Iron Man, he wouldn't be able to bear it. Susi also felt his scalp tingling. This was a fight for his life. If he really continued like this, Ji Shizhuan's body would definitely not be able to bear it. Kamen and Kazakura Isuk, who were watching the battle, quickly picked up their guns to support Nexus. However, all the bullets were blocked by a blue energy shield and could not cause any damage to the Cerberus. At this time, Goroki explained, "No, this is the dark realm I created. Your tricks are useless." But the next second, Goroki suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back. He turned his head slowly and found that Nishijo Nagi's bullet had hit his back. He looked at Zijo Nagi in shock, his eyes full of disbelief. Nishijo Nagi just said one sentence coldly. "What I hate most is the alien beast. Jujutsu Kaisen world. This woman is really good at this." This way, Goroki has gotten his comeuppance. Kujisaki Nobara looked at Nishijo Nagi, who was shooting in the picture, and nodded. "Oh, it's so cool to watch. It's Goroki's fault for wanting to hurt Miss Riko. He deserves to be betrayed. Besides, Nishijo Nagi hasn't agreed to join him yet. He's just being sentimental." Yuji Itadori jumped up from his seat and shouted. Fushiguro Megumi nodded in agreement. "Call." Miyako breathed a sigh of relief, thankful that Nishijo Nagi did not betray the Night Raid team and made the right choice. "Wow, well done." Atita suddenly felt in a good mood. It was rare for him to like Nishijo Nagi so much. "Very good. That Goroki deserves it. Didn't he make Miss Riko into a doll before? This time he should also taste the feeling of being betrayed. I was really scared. I thought Nishijo Nagi would really betray. That would be terrible." Xiaozhi was still a little scared in that situation just now. If Nishijo Nagi really chose to join Goroki, the consequences would be really disastrous. Kalula had expected this. Although Nishijo Nagi is usually a little cold, I can see at a glance that she has her own principles, and she will definitely not do anything as evil as Goroki did. What's more, she seems to hate alien beasts very much, and she will not choose to join Goromo. Nexus World. Goromo looked at this scene in the video and felt like a knife was cutting his heart. He didn't expect that the person he trusted the most would choose to betray him. Am I really wrong? Gurumi couldn't help but ask himself this question. Silence. He didn't get the answer he wanted. Post views. 39. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 111-111. Without Nexus, the Night Raid team can't even defeat a single alien beast. In the light curtain after being shot, Goromo was completely disheartened. He no longer had the will to fight and disappeared silently. Gumin seized the opportunity and fired wildly at the three-headed dog of hell. Nexus regained his strength and, with the help of Gumin, beat the three-headed dog of hell with one move after another, causing it to wail loudly. Finally, he used a cascading storm to destroy the three-headed dog of hell. The Dark Realm also collapsed after the fight. Ji Ajun was covered in wounds, and the bite marks on his arms were even more shocking. He was about to leave the scene. Unexpectedly, Nishijo Nagi chased out and pointed her gun at Himaya Jun. This immediately confused the audience outside the screen. Doraemon Universe, Baka, what does this guy want to do again? Fat Tiger couldn't sit still anymore. Nobita was also very angry. Mr. Ji Shizhuan suffered such serious injuries in order to deal with the alien beast, but this Nishijo Nagi actually wants to kill him? What's wrong with this Night Raid team? They actually chose this guy as the deputy captain. Inhuman world, damn it. Why did this crazy woman suddenly get sick again? I thought she had finally recovered. Zhang Chuan couldn't help but complain. 02, just now. The two sides cooperated to eliminate the alien beasts, and now they turn around and want to attack Ji Shizhuan. It's really unreasonable. Su Si shook his hand. To be honest, it's been a long time since a guy made my hands itchy. The picture on the screen continued to play as Nishijo Nagi pulled out her gun. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Fortunately, at this time, Hitsong Yingfu came out to smooth things over and avoid unnecessary disputes. At the same time, the vibration waves of the alien beast came again. When Gu Min and others arrived at the scene, They only found a horrifying claw mark on the ground. Next second, a giant alien beast with sharp horns on its back appeared out of nowhere, raised its sharp claws, and rushed towards Gumin and his group. At the critical moment, a white light flashed, and Nexus rushed out from the white light and blocked the claw attack for Gumin. Although he was seriously injured in the battle just now, he still joined the battle without hesitation. Orb World. Honkai's pupil shrank, and he felt a little incredible. After beating one alien beast, another one came immediately. There was no rest time at all. Thinking of the injuries on Ji Shizhuan's body just now, Honkai couldn't help but stand in awe. Fox Demon World. Oh my god, there's more. Bai Yuechu was numb. Ji Shizhuan's injuries were already very serious. If he continued to fight with injuries like this, his life would be in danger. Sure enough, it was really hard to be a Nexus fitter. Nexus and the alien beast are entangled. Suddenly, 4 tentacles suddenly grew out of the back of the alien beast and hit Nexus's injured arm hard. Nexus fell to the ground in pain. The alien beast took advantage of the gap when Nexus stood up to launch a special move, and the sharp horns behind it lit up white light. Nexus stood up with difficulty, clenched his fists, took a few big steps to get in front of the alien beast, and punched him in the head. But the next moment, the alien beast suddenly became illusory, and the fist went straight through the alien beast body. The novel was taken from the Rala's website. Close where you're reading it and support us on our website for more free novels. Nexus refused to believe in evil and punched several times in succession. Without exception, all attacks passed through the alien beast's body and had no effect on him. Seeing the alien beast's cheating ability, the audience outside the screen exclaimed again and again. What kind of ability is this? Fei Jian Oren widened his eyes. Watching the alien beast in the picture just dodged Nexus's attack without moving. It was incredible. Can this make his body virtual? If so, wouldn't it be invincible? How can Nexus be beaten? Say Edward. After reading for so long, Xiaozhi couldn't help but sigh. The alien beasts in this are really not good people. They are either infinitely resurrected or can be illusory. It seems that the tentacle monster that was blown up by Nexus at the beginning is the weakest. Yes, Calula nodded, her face full of worry. Ji Shizhuan is still seriously injured, but he is still forcing himself to fight this alien beast. Achida clenched his hands angrily. It's still the guys from the Night Raid team. They're useless, and they need Mr. Ji Shizhuan's help every time to defeat them. If they were able to solve the alien beast by themselves, Mr. Ji Shizhuan would not have to work so hard. That Zijo Nagi actually wanted to kill Ji Shizhuan. If he really kills him, they may not be able to defeat even a single alien beast in the future. Just wait for the Earth to be destroyed. Nexus did not panic, but came up with a plan. He raised his arm and summoned the Meta Realm, which was a unique domain of Nexus. Here, not only could his strength be enhanced, but more importantly, he could control all the laws of this space. In other words, in Meta's domain, the illusory abilities of the alien beasts are meaningless to him. In the field, Nexus put his hands together, tried to launch a cascading storm to end the battle with one strike. After all, with his current physical strength, it is not suitable for a long-term battle. But just as he was gathering his energy, a sharp pain in his arm interrupted his spell. Next moment, the alien beast flashed before his eyes, and after a few heavy blows, Nexus's red light flashed. Nexus's injuries worsened as he was defeated. He could no longer maintain the metadomain. When the last bit of energy in his body was exhausted, Nexus became a shadow. Obviously, this battle Nexus failed. Nexus actually lost. This must be fake. This must be fake. Is there anything wrong with Mr. Hamaya Jun? Lost already? Losing to an opponent like this, what a weakling. Hey, you're talking without any worries, right? You're so powerful. Go up and fight this alien beast. The strength of this alien beast is really terrifying. Even Nexus is not its match. Nexus's injuries are too severe. I have found a way to solve it. If Nexus can recover, I don't think that alien beast will be a match for him. Unfortunately, there was no time for Ji Shizhuan to recover. The alien beasts came one after another. How many alien beasts are there? Seeing Nexus defeated, everyone in the world was a little surprised. However, this defeat is understandable. Nexus's condition is too bad. He can't even play half of his strength. Without Nexus's fighting power, the Night Raid team's firepower alone could not threaten the alien beasts. Really, under the concentrated firepower of the Night Raid team, the alien beast once again became illusory and left the scene. Faced with this alien beast that is immune to physical attacks, the members of the Night Raid team are also at a loss and can only choose to let the tiger go back to the mountains. Seer World Tieda snorted, looking at the Night Raiders on the screen with disdain. I told you, with just a few of them, without Nexus help, they would not be a match for the alien beasts. You see, without Nexus, we can only let the alien beasts run away. It's really embarrassing. Post views 47. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 112. I can't fall down. There are thousands of lights behind me in a light curtain, but fortunately, with the data obtained from this battle, the Night Raid team also found a way to crack the illusion. That is to use the amplifier transformed from a high-voltage power tower to emit a huge amount of wave rays to destroy the organs of the alien beasts. But this method requires a lot of high-voltage towers to support. There is only one location that meets this condition. That's the city. This means that the Night Attack team needs to eliminate this alien beast not far from the city. This is a mission that cannot fail. If they fail, not only will the secret of the alien beast be completely exposed, but the city will also be devastated. All members of the Night Raid team are on alert. Waiting for the mission to begin time soon came to the evening of the next day. In a wild forest outside the city, the moment the radar detected the life characteristics of the alien beast, Hitsong Ingfu Li gave an order and the power tower was instantly turned on. A burst of red light exploded. The shadow of the alien beast gradually appeared, and its illusory organs were completely destroyed. It loses the ability to illusory itself, but the mission is not over yet. They still need to eliminate the alien beast before the masses notice the abnormality. The alien beast angrily launched an attack on the Night Raid team. The fighter planes that had been prepared long ago took off into the air, and dozens of missiles hit the alien beast back. Destroyed, the sharp corner behind humanity's strongest attack is ready to be launched. Bang! After a loud bang, however, the strongest attack of mankind was blocked by the shield that suddenly gathered in front of the alien beast. Without the Night Raiders to stop it, it continued to move towards the city. Ikikamen looked at this scene with despair. He understands this mission failed. At this moment, under the moonlight, a figure slowly walked over to Maya June. He came to the scene resolutely regardless of his injured body enduring the severe pain. He raised the Trust Evolver in front of everyone and transformed it in Nexus again. He activated his youth form and quickly stood in front of the alien beast. He absolutely cannot retreat in this battle, because behind him are the lights of thousands of homes. As a giant, his mission is to protect the lights of thousands of homes from this catastrophe, even if it means sacrificing his life. This is what Maya June believes in. Even if you know that you will die, you must fight for the one you love. Is this what Maya June believes? Come on, Mr. Maya June, you can definitely win. Behind him, thousands of lights are on, but not a single one is on for Mr. June Maya. I believe Mr. June Maya will definitely win. Impossible. The gap between the two is too big. Plus, Ji Shizhuan is still seriously injured, let alone winning. It would be good if he can survive 10 rounds. For a moment, everyone in the heavens and the worlds was moved by Ji Shizhuan's belief, risking his life just to protect the lights of thousands of homes behind him. Seer World Woo! Mr. Ji Shizhuan is so great. Atieda was moved to tears and wiped his tears frantically. In the alien world, on Longhu Mountain, this Ji Shizhuan is really a great man. What a pity. The old Taoist sighed. Even though he was used to the sufferings of the world, he was moved by Ji Shizhuan's firm belief. So great, in order to protect humans, they would rather sacrifice their lives. The lambs were so moved that they could not say anything. Fiang Yang wiped the tears from his face and said angrily, "Those night attack teams are really useless. If it weren't for Mr. Ji Shizhuan, the entire city would definitely have been destroyed by that alien beast. By then, many innocent people will definitely be killed." Lazy Sheep nodded. "That's right, this night raid team is supposed to eradicate alien beasts. But in the end, every alien beast was eradicated with the help of Nexus." The picture on the screen continued to play. Nexus meets the alien beast. The fight was going on in full swing. However, due to his severe injuries, Nexus gradually lost his strength and was beaten back by the alien beasts. Next moment, in order to prevent the alien beasts from rushing into the city, Nexus summoned the meta realm. In the field, the alien beast rushed towards Nexus. Nexus raised his arms to block it, but was still knocked to the ground. He wanted to stand up from the ground and continue fighting the alien beast, but his injuries did not allow him to do so. At this moment, Nexus was completely exhausted. Without Nexus's obstruction, the alien beast rushed out of the area like crazy. Fortunately, the meta-domain still has some residual power, and it can temporarily block the impact of the alien beast. But it's only a matter of time. Once the energy of Meta's domain is exhausted, the alien beasts will enter the city. At that time, no one can stop the alien beasts. Nexus struggled hard, but his body had reached its limit. It should be noted that the person inside Nexus was not a god, but just an ordinary person with justice. Even so, he still insisted on releasing the rope beam, trying to pull the alien beast back at this moment. Inside Nexus, Jiajun only felt pain all over his body, and he couldn't exert any strength at all. This feeling made him feel worse than death. He really wanted to give up, but he knew he couldn't because at this moment, he was the only one who could stop the alien beast. If we allow alien beasts to enter the city, the consequences will be disastrous. "Stand up!" Himaya Jun shouted next. Second, Nexus supported himself with one hand, slowly stood up from the ground, and assumed a fighting stance again. No one knows why he was able to stand up, not even Himaya Jun himself. He only knew that he had to get rid of this alien beast once and for all. He clasped his hands together, and the movement pulled his wound, causing unimaginable pain. Ji Yajun gritted his teeth and endured it, then saved the last bit of energy for the cascading storm. Boom! An explosion resounded through the sky. The alien beast was scared to death. Himaya did it. He kept the lights on in all the houses. He kept his faith. At this moment, everyone in the world, Wang Hao, was excited. In the Jade world, Asakura Riku clenched his fists and shouted excitedly, "We won! I knew Nexus would win." In the Doraemon universe, Fat Tiger crossed his arms in front of his chest and felt the blood in his body boiling. "Great! I knew Nexus would win." Shizuka was worried. "Although we won, the injuries on Mr. Ji Shizhuan are still serious. I'm afraid it's getting worse." In the fairy tale world, Natsu's mouth curled up slightly and revealed a big smile. "Oh, Burning Man." In the Tiga world, Daiko's eyes were bright. Sure enough, under Mr. Himaya Jun's unyielding belief, no matter what kind of alien beast can't knock him down. In the Hollow Soul world, Aizen looked at this scene and curled his lips slightly. Well done. Post views 36. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are num. Chapter 113. Ji Shizhuan was captured for experiments. What a beastly behavior of TLT. In the light curtain, Nexus, who had completely exhausted his energy, turned into a streak of white light and disappeared on the spot. On the grass, Ji Yajun walked with difficulty and fell to the ground after taking only 2 steps. At this moment, a group of mysterious people wearing helmets, biochemical suits, and holding high-tech rifles came up from the side and surrounded Ji Yajun, seemingly trying to prevent Ji Yajun from escaping. Then, the leader took out a stun gun and, without saying a word, shocked the lying Himaya Jun unconscious. The picture also dimmed as Ji Yajun fell into a coma. When Ji Yajun woke up, he saw a strong light. He subconsciously wanted to take out the trust evolver, but the next second he suddenly found himself tied up on an operating table. He was surrounded by mysterious people wearing biochemical suits, and his trusted evolver was also locked in a glass cabinet. Looking at the unfamiliar surroundings, Xiaozhi felt a little uneasy. At this time, an experimenter came over and put a helmet-like experimental device on Xiaozhi's head. Next moment, the experimenter pressed the switch, and a strong current instantly flowed out of the helmet and invaded Xiaozhi's brain. But the pain caused by the strong electric current is definitely not something that ordinary people can endure. However, these experimenters did not pay attention to Xiaozhi's screams, and even increased the power of the current. In their eyes, Xiaozhi was just a little white mouse for their experiments. Xiaozhi struggled desperately, but without the power of Nexus, he was just an ordinary person and could not break free from chains. Suddenly, he accidentally noticed that there were 3 letters marked on the biochemical suits of 280 experimenters. TLT. That's right. This is a confidential mission of TLT capture Xiaozhi and use him for scientific research. They really want to know why Xiaozhi can transform in a Nexus and how his body structure is different from that of ordinary people. This is a huge joke. The hero who was fighting for humanity in the previous second became a guinea pig on the cold operating table in the next second. Under the stimulation of strong electric current, these experimenters extracted all the memories in Xiaozhi's brain. But this is not enough. In order to explore all the secrets of Xiaozhi, they decided to use the vibration waves of the alien beast to stimulate Xiaozhi. Experiment begins. The vibration wave emitted a white light that shone on Xiaozhi's face. This was undoubtedly a painful torment for him. However, in order to obtain data faster, the experimenters increased the intensity of the vibration waves without considering Xiaozhi's feelings. In a long wait, the first thing they got was not the experimental data they had dreamed of, but the sound of Xiaozhi's heartbeat that suddenly stopped. TLT's behavior obviously caused public outrage. Asshole! Those shameless guys, damn it! Atieda felt his hands thirsty and wanted to punch the experimenters on the head. At this moment, he was furious. Xiaozhi also widened his eyes. He didn't expect that a so-called official and formal organization like TLT would actually do such a heinous thing. These guys are really too much. Mr. Xiaozhi was fighting for humanity with his life just one moment, and the next moment he was caught and subjected to human experiments. Isn't this a joke too big? Ka Lulu clasped her hands together. Mr. Xiaozhi, it's really pitiful. Oh shit, this organization is so shameless that they actually used Xiaozhi to conduct human experiments. Pineapple blowing snow was almost dumbfounded. After all, Xiaozhi was a hero who saved the city. It would be fine if he didn't get some rewards. But they actually captured people and conducted experiments on others. This is too unfair. Aren't they afraid of retribution? Demon Slayer World. Looking at this scene, Musen sneered. The hero who saved mankind did not die in the battle with the alien beasts, but died at the hands of mankind themselves. It's really ironic, so as long as there are ghosts in this world, it will be fine. Doraemon Universe. On the Ice River planet, no. Kara was almost vomiting blood because of the shameful behavior of those guys in the picture who crossed the river and destroyed the bridge. Mr. Xiaozhi's heart stopped beating. Could he really be dead? Not sure, but Xiaozhi's heartbeat just stopped, so there's still hope that he can be rescued, but this may not be a good thing. To put it bluntly, those guys just want to get the power of Nexus. If Xiaozhi is rescued, he may suffer even more terrible torture. The doctor shook his head. This is the so-called human heart, which is more terrible than the alien beast. The video on the screen continued to play. Xiaozhi's heartbeat stopped. The experimenters finally panicked. They hurriedly used the pacemaker to stimulate Xiaozhi over and over again, but to no avail. Finally, they had no other options left and decided to use the vibration waves of the alien beast to irradiate Xiaozhi under the strong fluctuations. The locked trust evolver emitted a dazzling light, and Xiaozhi's vitality began to gradually recover. At the same time, Ikikamen was walking in the TLT base, and the next moment, the phantom of Junamaya suddenly appeared in front of him. This surprised Gumin, and he asked, "Mr. Hamayajun, why are you here?" Jiajun looked at him and did not answer. Kira, the commander of the night raid team, who appeared out of nowhere, warned, "Hamayajun, with your current body, if you use the power of Nexus again, you will most likely die." Jiajun's face was firm, without a trace of fear. "I don't want to die, but my mission is not yet complete. I will never stop until the darkness is completely eliminated." Then, the light came on, and Jiajun disappeared on the spot. Ikikamen stood there in a daze, completely confused the entire time. What are they saying? I don't understand a word. Zhang Chulan stroked his chin and said, "It seems that Ikikamen probably doesn't know that Ji Shizhuan was captured for experiments. Otherwise, I'm afraid that with his personality, he would never let such a thing happen. But Commander Kira definitely knows that this TLT is really ugly." Su Si shook his head, not seeming surprised. That's human nature. A powerful force like Nexus can only be trusted in one's own hands. However, it is indeed too much for Ji Shizhuan. Hey! At this moment, the alarm sounded. When Gumin arrived at the mission hall, he found that the captain and Song Ingfu had sad faces. It seems that this mission is also very difficult. That's right. This is the first time since the establishment of the night raid that alien beasts appeared in different places at the same time. Therefore, the difficulty of this mission will be much greater than before. Then, the captain and Song Ingfu gave some instructions and started the mission. This mission followed the strategy of splitting up. When Kamen and Seijo Nagi arrived at the location where the vibration wave was emitted, before they could even start fighting, the alien beast directly drilled into the sudden space-time vortex and escaped. The situation is similar at another location, however. Before Gumin could catch his breath, vibration waves appeared in other places one after another. When I rushed over, the vibration wave disappeared again. After a while, it was like a game of whack-a-mole, and the night raid team was confused. At this moment, 3 large characters suddenly and strangely appeared on Nishijo Nagi's signal receiver, Apocalypse. The moment she saw these 3 words, she immediately understood that all this was Garomu's conspiracy. In the distance, Garoki watched the night raid team's every move with evil eyes and whispered to himself, "To get started, let me kick off this plan called the Banquet of Hell. An unknown storm is brewing, and no one is immune. It is clear that the most exciting part of Nexus is about to begin. Apocalypse. It looks like the end is coming soon, and it seems a little hard to let go." In the notebook world, Light Yagami rubbed his chin and sighed. The demon Ryuk behind him took a bite of an apple and said in an exaggerated tone, "It's really rare that there are things in this world that you are reluctant to let go of." Jackie Chan Adventures World. Xiao Yuao. Uncle Long, the final battle is coming. I absolutely can't miss it. So can I not go to school today? Jackie Chan immediately yelled. No, Xiao Yu instantly acted like a spoiled child. Uncle Long, just promise me, just once. Jackie Chan was not affected by the coquettish method at all and shook his head firmly. Absolutely not, Xiao Yu. Kamen Rider Built World. In the final battle between light and darkness, who will be victorious? It's really exciting. Kiryu Sento, who had just finished dealing with a slammer, said excitedly. At the same time, a question emerged in his mind. If you defeat Dark Mephisto, what kind of energy bottle can you get? P.S. I will write about the light extinguishing war tomorrow, and it will be over. Then according to the plan, I will write about Nobita's Sea King, but I will not write out the details of each plot like the previous book. Post views 49. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 114. The final decisive battle. Nexus loses the light. In the light curtain over the next period of time, people were killed by alien beasts one after another, and panic was spreading quietly. The most important thing is that the Night Raid team has no way to deal with these alien beasts. The day another place has a vibration wave. The Night Raid team is fully armed and takes action immediately. But there was a person who arrived at the scene before the Night Raid team. This person was Amaya June, who was just released by TLT. At this moment, he was extremely weak. Even though he was reminded that he would most likely die if he transformed into Nexus again, he still held the Trust Evolver tightly without hesitation. In a white light, he transformed into Nexus. In the world of Resident Evil, Alice shook her head in disbelief, her eyes filled with respect for Ji Shizhuan. Oh my god, this man is so brave. She still remembered what the commander said before. Given Ji Shizhuan's current physical condition, the end of transforming into Nexus is likely to be death. It's Mr. Ji Shizhuan again. He actually turned into Nexus. Is he really not afraid of death? Miyako clenched her hands, frowned, and looked worried. Pastor Manu sighed. This Ji Shizhuan is really a hero. Perhaps his identity as a war correspondent has made him accustomed to death. Zombie world. This Ji Shizhuan is really amazing. Bai Xiaofei couldn't help but admire Ji Shizhuan. If he encountered the same thing as Ji Shizhuan, desperately protecting humans, but finally being captured by humans for experimental research, he would definitely not continue to protect humans with his life like Ji Shizhuan, and he would probably turn evil and become an enemy of humans. However, this is exactly why he admires Ji Shizhuan. The picture on the screen continues to play. Next moment, the alien beast stretched out several tentacles and entangled Nexus, who had just rushed out of the light. Nexus grabbed the tentacle wrapped around his foot and pulled it hard, and the tentacle broke instantly, allowing him to regain his ability to move. But the tentacles of the alien beast continued to attack from all directions. In just a few rounds, the weak Nexus was tied up. One of the tentacles even wrapped around Nexus' neck, causing a terrible feeling of suffocation, causing Amaya June to suffer. At the critical moment, the fighter planes of the night raid team arrived and fired intensive artillery fire to save Nexus from the water and fire. In the Ben 10 world, Tian Xiaoban touched his chin and said, "This night raid team finally came in handy." The next moment, the alien beast did not choose to continue fighting, but instead entered the vortex of time and space and escaped. And Nexus immediately turned into a beam of light and disappeared on the spot. This night raid also yielded no results. In the base, Commander Kira discovered that by arranging the locations and times of the alien beast appearances during this period in order, he could interpret a sentence. When the seventh seal is released at midnight, the dark door leading to the land of death will open. The land of the dead is the location of the final battle recorded in the Book of Revelation. Considering the mysterious message that Nishijo Nagi had received before, the truth of the matter has surfaced. This is Goromu's declaration of war. He wants to declare war on the night raid team in Nexus. I didn't expect that he would be so arrogant as to directly reveal the time and place. In this battle, their night attack team must not retreat. The other side, Ji Yajun, also received the news. He knew that all this would end with this battle. With the war ahead, he invited his good friend, Sakuta Megumi, to the lake and said goodbye to her. Seeing the person in front of him with tears in his eyes, Ji Yajun felt extremely bitter. He is not an idiot in love. He knows how the person in front of him feels. He also wants to live an ordinary life with Sakuta Megumi. But from the first day, he became a Nexus adapter. He was destined to fight forever until the darkness was completely eliminated. As Amaya June said goodbye, Sakuta Hui was in tears. She begged Amaya June to come back alive. However, Amaya June did not respond, because he knew that this trip was dangerous and he had no way to meet Sakuta Megumi's request. Wow, it turns out that Ji Shizhuan actually has a confidant. Hualin Fei was a little surprised. Tianyu chuckled. Ji Shizhuan is a very charming man. It is normal for girls to like him. But in this final battle, what are the hopes of Nexus winning? Miao Qiaojuan shook his head. Well, I don't think it's possible. Ji Shizhuan's physical condition was not very good to begin with, and he has a lot of injuries from fighting the alien beasts. As a result, he was captured by those guys for experiments and tortured. I'm afraid his body is really like a rotten tree at this moment. Dark Mephisto is already very strong. Not to mention that Goroki's condition is much better than Ji Shizhuan, and he can also summon alien beasts. To be honest, I really don't see any hope for the Night Raid team to win. Huolin Fei also nodded in agreement. Yes, I suspect that if it weren't for Ji Shizhuan's firm belief, his body would have been unable to bear it. Zero Seeking Flowers Sword Art Online World Woo Woo. Asuna wiped her tears. Mr. Ji Shizhuan is so pitiful. From the beginning to now, she saw only pain and misfortune in Ji Shizhuan, as if this was the punishment for him. His beloved sister died in the war, and he had to rush to fight alien beasts all the time, and even had to be tortured by humans that he was hit and was inhumanely captured for human experiments. Now, he is unable to be with his beloved. It is so miserable. The scene on the screen continues. Late at night, Shinjuku Park, an extremely powerful force swept over, tearing the space apart instantly, forming a space-time vortex. The gate to the place of death opens on time. Jiajun, who had been waiting for a long time, did not hesitate, transformed in a nexus, and rushed into the vortex of time and space. As soon as he arrived at the place of death, Himaya Jun saw the kidnapped Sakura Megumi and an old acquaintance, Goroki Shinya, roar at this time. The roar of the alien beast came from behind, turning around. A huge tentacle attacked Nexus. Nexus reacted quickly, grabbed the tentacle, tore it apart, then leaped back and fought with it. First, a flying kick hit the tentacle monster, causing sparks to fly. Then, a flurry of punches suppressed the monster for a short time. However, the long and uninterrupted battle made Himaya Jun's body extremely tired. In less than 10 rounds, Nexus's red light flashed. The thorny tentacles immediately entangled Nexus, making him unable to move and letting him be slaughtered. At the same time, the fighter planes of the Night Raid team passed through the time and space vortex and broke into the land of death. The scene he saw immediately afterwards made Ikki Kamen's eyes reveal endless astonishment and anger. Nexus was tied to a black nest, with countless dark tentacles wrapped around his body. There was no light on his body, just like a prisoner. Sudden, Mizuroki, who was standing below, spoke up. This is my dark wave. Once these tentacles completely wrap around Nexus' body, he will lose his life, and I will deprive Nexus of his light and become the master of the entire world. Speaking of this, Goroki couldn't help but reveal a wicked smile. Post views 43. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 115. You can still fight without light. This is Ji Shizhuan's belief outside the screen in the world of Kamen Rider Decade. After hearing Goroki's arrogant declaration, Kadoya frowned and questioned, "Why is this Goromu so crazy? Who gave him the courage? He is even crazier than me." Hey. And that smile, what is that? It looks so shameless. Goroki, you jerk. You better let me never meet you in this life. Kadoya Sure, who had been very unhappy with Goroki for a long time, started cursing. In the world of Kamen Rider Zio in 2068, Oma Zio sat alone on the throne, holding his chin with one hand, and said with interest, "Want to become the master above the world? Interesting. Let me see if you have what it takes to be a master." In the world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Dio looked at the evil smile of Goroki in the video and felt an inexplicable intimacy. He immediately understood he and Goroki were of the same kind. So he laughed crazily and said, "Go, Goroki, devour the light of Nexus. Make the whole world uneasy and afraid. JoJo, Dio, will definitely prove to you that in this world, strength is everything. The gentleman's spirit you insist on is nothing but a child's joke." The victory team, damn it. Looking at the images playing on the screen, Daegu slammed the table angrily and shouted, "This Goromu is so shameless. He just wants to fight, but he even kidnapped Ji Shizhuan's beloved." Yi Rue's teammate also agreed very much. That's right, this Goromu is a villain among villains. He has such a big advantage on his side, but he can still do such a thing. There is no light on Nexus. How could those Night Raiders alone be a match for Goroki? Iruma Vifronet. For an Ultraman, once he loses the light, he also loses the power to fight. Return to the video, the Night Raid team absolutely disagrees with Goroki's extreme idea. With the cooperation of 3 other teammates, Gumin operated the new fighter plane to destroy the tentacles that attacked them. Finally, he killed the tentacle monster with 1 shot. Although the alien beast was killed, the situation did not improve at all, because Nexus was still tied to the black nest by the black tentacles, and as time went on, the black tentacles became more and more numerous, almost wrapping up Nexus completely, which was shocking to watch. Ikikamen knew that in order to save Nexus, he had to get rid of Goroki. Without hesitation, he immediately pressed the fire button and fired a fierce firepower that was enough to sink mountains and cover seas towards Galumu. Goroki smiled. Without any panic, next moment, the Dark Transformer suddenly appeared in his hands. He pulled his hands outwards, and the endless darkness swallowed him up. Then Mephistopheles walked slowly out of the darkness with a wave of his arm. He blocked the terrifying firepower of the Night Raid team, then raised his hands, and purple-black laser blades flew out instantly. The smoke cleared, and many holes of varying sizes were blasted out on the ground. The Night Raiders were beaten to pieces, and their momentum was weakened. Obviously, without the power of Nexus, humans alone cannot compete with Dark Mephisto. The other side, Ji Yajun, woke up from the space of consciousness. As soon as he opened his eyes, a figure that he had been dreaming about appeared in front of him. It was Sierra. Ji Yajun endured the burning pain and spoke slowly, his tone full of disbelief. Next second, all the memories suddenly emerged in my mind like a tide. First meeting with Nexus, first battle with alien beasts for the first time. I chose to fight for humanity. These are the indelible memories in his heart. At this moment, Sarah's voice suddenly rang out. The light given to you has been passed down by countless people across time and space. Those who inherit the light will fight desperately even if they lose important people. Even if you're covered in wounds, you still choose to fight. This is the meaning of the generations of fit people inheriting the light and becoming Nexus. Ji Yajun suddenly realized gaining the power of Nexus is never a punishment, but a supreme recognition. Every scar left by fighting alien beasts is the highest honor for being a fit person. At this moment, Ji Yajun suddenly realized. Sarah smiled at Ji Yajun, her voice still gentle. It's great to meet June. Thank you. Next, you must continue to fight to protect your loved ones. Use that light. With each word, Sarah's figure gradually became illusory and finally disappeared on the spot. June, who had figured out, held the trust evolver tightly, with no fear in his eyes, only infinite determination. Returned to the place of death at this moment. Nexus's entire body was covered by pitch-black tentacles without exception. He was only one step away from sinking into the endless darkness and dying sudden. A red light flashed on Nexus' chest. The next moment, he broke free from the tentacles and landed on the ground. There was no light on Nexus' body, and even his previously bright eyes were now dim. This is not fighting with light, but relying entirely on his firm belief in the winning team. Looking at the dim Nexus in the picture, Dagu's eyes were full of horror. Even without light, you can still fight with your will. Dagu asked himself, his will is definitely not up to this level, and his determination is not as thorough as Himaya Jun. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva deeply. This is a real hero. In the orb world, Senior Ji Shizhuan. He stood up. He could stand up without light. Senior Ji Shizhuan's belief is too terrifying. Honkai was also shocked by the dark Nexus in the picture. He really didn't expect. Ji Shizhuan can actually use his will to make Nexus fight again. You know, light is their energy source. Without light, it's like a car without gasoline. And Ji Shizhuan seems to be pushing the car forward with his own strength. It's really shocking. In the cosmic prison, can you fight without light? Even though Belia had fallen into darkness, he couldn't help but show deep admiration in his twisted scarlet eyes as he looked at Nexus, standing tall in the picture. 5.4 Although I can't stand those false lights. I quite like this Nexus's adapter. But why do I feel like I've heard the name Nexus before? Dark Mephisto noticed the situation here, rushed forward and attacked Nexus under the powerful strength and excellent skills of Mephisto. Nexus was overwhelmed and could only defend himself. Seeing this, the Knight Raiders hastily launched a beam missile with a power comparable to that of the Cascade Storm at Dark Mephisto, trying to assist Nexus. Mephisto was not in a hurry. He threw out 2 light darts and intercepted the missile in midair. At this point, the Knight Attack team only has one last luminous missile left, which means they only have one chance. Post Views 43. Check out the title King Daxiong. All the characters in the world are Num Chapter 116-116. The end of Nexus. Nobita is the Poseidon. How many beautiful girls have been charmed by Nobita? Gumin was about to continue firing at Mephisto, but at this moment, Captain Heatsong's voice suddenly rang out. The last beam was aimed at Nexus' chest. This beam missile was made based on Nexus's data. With just a little adjustment, it can provide Nexus with abundant energy. The only living being who can fight against Dark Mephisto is Nexus. Gumin glanced at Nexus, who was lying weakly on the ground. The scene of being saved by Nexus flashed in his mind. He did not question it out loud, but adjusted the muzzle of the gun to aim at Nexus' chest. Then he pulled the trigger, and a powerful burst of energy shot out, hitting the indicator light on Nexus' chest. Caught off guard, Nexus fell to the ground, covered his chest with his hands, and rolled over, seemingly in great pain. Next moment, a brilliant golden light filled Nexus's body, and the light in his eyes gradually brightened, and he stood up again from the ground. At Nobita's house, seeing Nexus light again call, Nobita also let out a long sigh, and then looked at Nexer with confidence. Fat Tiger laughed. This Knight Raid team finally did a good thing. Now the chances of winning will be a little better. Instantly turning into Youth 02 form, clenching his fists, Nexus felt as if he had been reborn in Nirvana, his whole body filled with endless power. Looking at Nexus, who was shining again.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.